Unexpectedly, when the final chapter was released, it was also the moment the world in the novel became reality. Brutal demons gradually leveled up and escaped the game to attack humans. Because of this, Kim Doksha became the only person who knew the end of this world. At this moment, the phone screen displayed 3 ways to survive in a ruined world. There are 3 ways to survive in a ruined world. I've forgotten a few of them now, but there's one thing I can confirm. If you have read these lines, you will survive. 3 ways to survive in a ruined world has ended. He sat with everyone on the train staring intently at his phone and thinking, my hobby is reading novels on the subway after work, but today was a little different from a normal day. Suddenly, a girl's voice rang out threateningly. If you keep that up, you're going to crawl right into your phone, which made him so surprised, his eyes widened. He looked up at the girl opposite him. Seeing the beautiful girl in front of him, he immediately thought of a name Yu Sanga from the HR department. He was startled and hurriedly greeted her. Hello, miss. She gently asked, are you off work now? He also quickly replied, yes, are you too, Miss Sanga? She gently sat down next to him and said, I'm so lucky today. The department head is on a business trip, causing him to quickly lean away slightly. A few strands of her hair brushing past his face made him pleasantly surprised. I met Yu Sanga, the most popular person at the company, on the subway. Something smells so good. Looking at the lovely girl in front of him, he inquired, do you usually take the subway? He thought curiously. From the HR representative to Manager Han of the finance department. Whenever it's time to go home, the male employees line up to take Sanga home. She looked down, a hint of sadness on her face, and explained dejectedly, well, the thing is, someone stole my bicycle. Hearing her reply, he was stunned and asked, you ride a bicycle to work? She continued to sit there and sighed. Lately, I've had to work overtime, so I don't have much time to exercise, and there have been some troubles, so I just decided to. She turned to him and smiled gently. Seeing this smile, he vaguely understood a little and thought, seeing her this close, I can somewhat understand why the guys fall head over heels for this woman. But then he pushed it all aside and thought, but it has nothing to do with me. Yu Sanga and I are completely different kinds of people. But I have to make it clear. Now, the reason my commute home is different from usual is not because I met Yu Sanga. Suddenly she said, Buterbusuta rumetinero, making him turn to her in confusion. Huh. She quickly looked at her phone and explained, it's Spanish. It means, lend me some money. He held his phone and looked at the girl beside him in astonishment. Studying on the subway after work, she's truly a different kind of person from me. I wonder where she plans to use that sentence. Hearing her response, he smiled brightly and praised her. You're so hardworking. She also eagerly leaned over to peek at his phone and asked, so what are you watching so intently, Mr. Doksha? He quickly raised his hand to block her view. He was about to reply, when his phone screen showed The World After the Fall author Sing Shong. She asked with interest, is it a novel? He quickly answered, her eyes lit up like excited stars. Or should I say, studying Korean. Wow, I love novels too. Murakami Haruki and also Raymond Carver. It seems I made a mistake. Which author do you like, Mr. Doksha? Seeing this, he broke out in a nervous sweat and thought, even if I told you, you probably wouldn't know, haha. Even if it kills me, I can't say I'm reading Sing Shong's The World After the Fall. With a slightly better expression, he thought again, that's right, my hobby is reading web novels on the subway after work. He looked at the phone screen displaying 3 ways to survive in a ruined world. Or to put it briefly, the survival novel, he briefly thought. Even though it might be a bit embarrassing to tell others, the reason today is different from the recent string of days is the fantasy novel I've been reading every day for the past 10 years, Apocalypse Will End Today. His phone lit up with dozens of messages and notifications, and he just briefly thought, some people might say it's just the end of a novel, but to me it's very special. I've been reading this novel since my last year of high school. He remembered the image of himself being bullied, huddled in a corner playing with his phone, and thought, even when I was isolated by the school bullies. 2 images of himself sitting alone in the park playing on his phone came to his mind, or when I failed my exams and had to attend a third-rate university. He even recalled the image of himself in a military uniform fiddling with a computer, or when a damn random draw forced me into a frontline unit during my military service. He continued to look at his phone and sighed. And even now, after changing jobs to become a contract employee at a subsidiary of a large corporation, forget it, let's not talk about these things anymore. Anyway, there are no good memories, the emptiness when a world ends and the satisfaction of seeing that world's ending. Today is the day the final part of Apocalypse is posted. Amidst the bustling crowd, he focused only on his phone, lost in his own world of thought. It's a super long web novel with 3,149 chapters. A long, arduous journey of 10 years from the end of childhood to the beginning of adulthood. He looked at the number of posted chapters with astonishing numbers. The author continuously posted over 3,000 chapters, even with only 1 reader, and this went on for more than 10 years. He thought with emotion, Chapter 1 had 1,200 views. By Chapter 10, it dropped sharply to 20, by Chapter 50, it was only 12, and after that, sometimes it was just 1 view. Sometimes there were 2 views, but it was probably just someone who clicked by mistake, and then he thought very narcissistically. In that case, could this be a story just for me? He looked at the phone screen's display, Kim's doc, 6:50 p.m., to author, you've worked hard all this time, I've been waiting for the ending. He briefly considered, I really want to send the author a donation, but thinking about my own life, he gave up. My salary is not abundant at all. It's just enough for my daily food and living expenses, so I can only leave a sincere comment to thank and greet them. He stared at his phone, lost in a stream of thought. I also tried writing suggestions, but in the end, I only got flamed, with words like, "Are you even a writer? Attention seeker? If you can stand it." Rereading it is quite interesting, but people are really too much. The girl beside him called out Mr. Dokja. Mr. Dokja. At that time, neither of us knew anything. Did we? Haha. That's right, it feels like just yesterday. But the contract has already expired. Haha. Suddenly she realized something, broke into a cold sweat, and looked at him petrified. He suddenly thought, I forgot Usanga received praise from a foreign client and was promoted to a full-time employee. Suddenly the two of them started an awkward, intermittent conversation. That's right. My congratulations are a bit late. I'm sorry, haha. I should have worked harder and taken a foreign language class for banking. No, Dokja, see, there's still the competency assessment and… Looking at the beautiful girl in front of him, he had a tangled mess of thoughts. I hate to admit it, but the sight of Usanga talking looks wonderful. If this world were a novel, the protagonist would surely be someone like her. Actually, you can't blame anyone for that. I didn't try at all, but Usanga worked hard while I just sat and read web novels. While Usanga was studying hard, it's only natural that she became a full-time employee, while my contract wasn't renewed. Suddenly she flinched, a drop of sweat rolled down her face, and she called out softly, Mr. Dokja. He was suddenly dazed. Yes. She shyly and slowly stammered. If you want, I can tell you the app I'm using. He widened his eyes in surprise and thought, if my world were a different kind. Remembering the image of a cockroach in a box, he thought, then it wouldn't be the realistic kind of world. He sat in the middle of a crowded train, holding an insect-catching net, he thought sadly. But a fantasy world. Sitting among so many people like this, he spaced out and asked, could I become the protagonist in a world like that? Suddenly, the train doors opened, and everyone became noisy and bustling again. She stood up and called Mr. Dokja. He immediately spoke up to refuse. There's no need. Miss Usanga. But his heart didn't know how to decide. I don't know. He thought indifferently in his heart. But if there's something I do know, then he put on a cold expression and said bluntly, even if you show me that app, it won't do any good. He affirmed to himself that the world I live in is the clearly realistic kind. Looking at the bustling crowd on the train, he felt a little unfamiliar and thought, and in this world, I'm not the protagonist, just a thing called Dokja reader. He said comfortably, because Dokja has Dokja's own life. Suddenly, her expression was surprised. She adjusted her legs and curiously asked Dokja's life. In the end, she just turned to look at him with a reluctant smile and complimented Avian Dokja. That's a really good line. Usanga raised her fist in determination. Then I also have Usanga's own life, which made him sitting beside her happy as well. She turned as if she had learned a new lesson and said softly, I will also follow Mr. Dokja's example and be true to my own life. Hearing her believe that, he just silently turned his face away and thought, being quiet should be fine, right? Suddenly the phone in his hand vibrated slightly. He looked at the phone curiously, a message. He thought in surprise. At that time I was completely unable to predict it. Suddenly 3 words appeared on the screen. Thank you. His face went blank as he looked at the phone and wondered, could it be the author of Apocalypse? He glanced at the message and thought, the things that happened to me just a moment later. The message continued to display asking, thank you. He also curiously sent another message, Mr. Author. The other side typed a reply, thanks to you, I was able to finish the novel, and I also received an award for participating in a contest. He was so shocked he couldn't believe it, covering his mouth as he looked at the phone and thought, a contest, Apocalypse. It really is the author. He also curiously messaged back, congratulations, sir. But what kind of contest was it? The other side still replied cheerfully, because it's a private contest, you probably don't know about it. And there will be a paid chapter. The other side continued to send messages. The paid chapter will start from the final chapter posted today. And I also want to send a special gift to thank my reader. Could you send me your email address? Suddenly everything went dark. 2 pairs of horns appeared and he wondered, what is happening to this world? He looked at the screen and typed a reply, a gift. The other side replied without delay. Everything that's happening in this world is thanks to the reader. He stared intently at his phone and thought, the world. What does that mean? I don't really get it. And they said it was a private contest. They're not lying out of embarrassment, are they? Usanga walked ahead of Kim Dokja, her face so cheerful it looked like it was about to bloom. A gift. Could it be a gift certificate? It would be great if it were a 50,001 certificate. You have received a new email. Looking at the content on the card, he happily saved it and thought, wow, it's here. There's a gift to my reader. Thank you for everything, my beloved reader. After 7 p.m. today, it will become a paid service. This will help you stay healthy. From 7 o'clock. It's 6:55 now, so there are only 5 minutes left, right? He rubbed his chin and looked at the phone intently thinking, I'm on the list of favorite authors, huh? Suddenly, the series he was reading disappeared and the screen displayed, the work you are looking for does not exist. He thought in disbelief. That's so weird. They're starting to charge without announcing it on the forums and then just deleting the story. On the train, the crowd of people was still hurriedly jostling for a place to sit and rest. Suddenly, Usanga sitting next to him noticed something was wrong and asked, what's wrong? Suddenly, the engine made a screeching sound. Usanga covered her eyes and screamed loudly, What was that? The train kept hurtling forward. At this moment, someone bared their teeth and asked a terrorist attack. Everyone on the train was no better off. Suddenly, a pale white mouth appeared, and the high-speed train came to a stop. Inside the train, everyone was in a state of chaos. He asked the girl sitting next to him, "Yusanga, are you okay?" She anxiously grabbed his arm and asked, "What's happening?" Yes. What's going on?" He comforted her gently. "Don't worry, it's probably nothing." The clock showed 6:59 p.m. and then 7:00 p.m. He was briefly surprised and thought, what a coincidence I looked at the clock at that exact moment. He vaguely remembered 7 p.m. paid service. Suddenly, the station staff's voice rang out. "Attention, all passengers on the train. All of you, run now." A shocked Yusanga called out to him, "Mr. Dokja, what is this?" Suddenly, his expression shifted, his eyes sharp. A large crack appeared ahead. He lightly shielded his eyes and looked up. He and everyone else on the train were utterly astonished as a system voice rang out. "The free service of our planet system, 612, has ended. We will now begin the main scenario." It was the moment I changed the genre of my life. It's that goblin. When that creature first appeared, someone shouted that, and everyone there, not just him, was shocked by the scene unfolding. They were frozen for a long time until their brains connected with their limbs, and only then did they realize the dangerous situation for themselves and their fellow humans. A thought suddenly flashed. In his shock, Dokya thought to himself, I don't know why that sentence suddenly popped into my head. The subway stopped abruptly and the train car lost power. Could it be? The subway just stopped, suddenly something that happens often. Even so, he tried to calm himself by thinking as positively as possible, but his anxiety grew stronger. Two conflicting lines of thought existed in his mind. One was optimistic, and the other was about the thing that had suddenly appeared. The familiar opening of the novel kept replaying in my head. But this is impossible. How could this possibly happen? As his reasoning leaned towards atheism taking precedence, Yusanga suddenly cried out in terror, "A goblin! Huh!" Thinking he was lost in a tangle of thoughts, he figured he must have misheard. He dazedly turned his head to look at her. But the misfortune had arrived. Not only her but others on the train had also seen the strange phenomenon. He silently prayed for something he knew was impossible as he turned around. His mind was steadfast in the belief that impossible things, when thought of in a conventional way, certainly cannot happen. The words from the novel ran wild in his head. 2 small horns with 2 small horns and a cloak. That hairy and bizarre creature floated weightlessly in the air. It was too grotesque to be called a fairy, too malevolent to be called an angel, but also too quiet to be called a demon. Because what was before his eyes was now reality. Everything else was an illusion. The truth was laid out before him. He couldn't help but believe it. "Look," someone called out, drawing everyone's attention on the train towards the direction where a floating halo had appeared. Everyone was chattering noisily. "What is that?" She cowered back in fear. As the strange figure became clear, he thought desperately, "No, it can't be, that is." The goblin monster had appeared, and it perfectly matched the description in that novel. At that moment, he realized with shock, a profound philosophy, that was the moment when fantasy and reality intertwined. As soon as it appeared, it babbled in a strange language, making it difficult for anyone to understand what was being said. However, it seemed to be unaware that it hadn't used its translation bread to communicate with humans yet. In general, everything it was currently lecturing about was proving to be useless. A few people couldn't contain their curiosity and asked, "What is it saying?" While the female students huddled together anxiously, the male students seemed very interested in the current strange sight and were content with their own bravery. Some brazenly used their phones to record the memorable moment. Is it virtual reality? Besides that, there were also some other comments as soon as they saw its monstrous appearance, for example. "It's so ugly." Looking around the area, he thought blankly, but besides me, is there anyone else who knows the meaning of this moment? At the same time, like a normal young man, he was also very interested in this novel adventure. That thing is a standard goblin. Although his heart had already leaned to one side in an era where theology was in decline and science reigned supreme, something like this was too difficult to explain. His thoughts were in turmoil between the 1,000-chapter novel, Ways of Survival. The prelude to the long tragedy in the book, 3 Ways to Survive in a Ruined World, has been opened. And the refutation of this idealistic argument, but no, that can't be possible. Really. At the same time, he couldn't deny the reality that it was that very goblin. He was so flustered that the hand holding his phone trembled incessantly. Just then Yusanga inquired, "Why does that sound so much like Spanish? I'll try talking to it." Her bold words scared the living daylights out of him. "Do you even know what that is? Are you planning to ask it for money or something?" She hesitated for a moment. "No, not at all." Suddenly, can everyone hear me? Seriously, the Korean language pack is bugged. What a pain. Everyone can. You all hear me clearly?" It yelled. Because of this pre-show hiccup, people started to lose their patience. One fearless guy yelled out, "Hey, what are you trying to do?" What, it asked blankly. And so he was scorned by the guy who hated time wasters. "Are you filming Hap Entertainment? Has a job for me, so I need to go quickly." It naively understood in its own way and answered, an audition. "That's right. This is the audition. Right now. Ha ha ha." So the data investigation was flawed. I told them to start charging at 7 p.m., but I still have to remind these guys. The annoyed man said, "Huh? What are you talking about?" Although there were some communication issues between the two sides, the dokebi's purpose was still logically achieved. Now everyone calm down, sit in your seats, and listen to me. From now on, I have to convey important information to all of you. Seeing its gentle demeanor, the people pressed their advantage. What is this? Make the train move already. What do you think you're doing without the people's consent? How are you going to compensate for the damages? A little girl innocently asked Mommy. What is that? Is it a comic book? Watching the chaotic arguing crowd, he became more convinced that the world of the novel had arrived here. It's not wrong at all. This is the exact development I've read about. I have to stop it. But how? So he called out seriously, Sang don't move. His unusual action left her a bit stunned. And then the dokebi became completely furious. Haha, so noisy? I told you all to be quiet. Do you think I'm joking with you? And so the instigator could only utter his last word, Blood dripped and splattered everywhere. Everyone stared in shock at the young man who was right in front of them a second ago. A moment later he was at death's door. It bared its teeth in a grotesque smile. This isn't a movie shoot, nor is it a dream. As it spoke, it began its massacre. If the first guy was to make an example, the following ones were purely to satisfy its bloodlust. The train car was gradually stained red. Since they wouldn't listen to reason, the dokebi had to issue a punishment as a deterrent. It continued. This is not a novel, nor is it the reality you once knew. Do you understand? He frowned silently, acknowledging. That's right. This is real. The feeling that this wasn't the reality he had felt in his chest. Now I've completely awakened upon seeing the train car submerged in a sea of blood. The dokebi's voice grew more and more demonic. You've all been living a wonderful life until now, haven't you? Ever since you were born, you haven't had to pay for anything yet. You eat well, sleep soundly, and maintain regular hygiene, and you even have children. Getting to live in a wonderful world without working. But that wonderful time must now end. Nothing is free forever, right? It became demonic, though his limbs were trembling. Han Myong. Still asked boldly because this could very well be his path to survival. Now everyone was aware of the imminent danger. No one failed to step back and prepare crude weapons for themselves. Anxiety was clear on their faces. Suddenly, do you perhaps want money? Though his limbs were trembling, Han Myong still asked boldly, because this could very well be his path to survival. Seeing clearly who was speaking, he whispered to her, Ms. Yu Sanga, isn't that our finance department head? Someone who knows the company director, huh? Yeah, she replied. Seeing no reaction from it, he continued to show his sincerity as he often did. If you need money, I'll give you however much you want. Please accept it. And that's the kind of person I am. How much is enough? A check for a lot of money, or maybe two? Finally, it reacted. So you people intend to give me money? He nodded repeatedly. Just let me get out of here, and any amount of money is fine. Money, good stuff. A material that exists abundantly in the subjective, reciprocal relationships of humankind. As soon as he heard it say that he got his hopes up and thought nice as expected with money, anything is possible. Only to receive a bitter end. The dokebi raised its claws and burned all the paper money in his hand. At the same time it lectured, but it's only effective within your space and time. In this vast world, that scrap paper has no value whatsoever. If you do that again, I'll have your head. So remember that. He was stunned. My money. It frowned, pretending it was also very difficult for it to have to kill people. While you all are screaming here, the debt is getting bigger and bigger. Well, that's how it is. Earning money with your own hands will make you understand faster than me, explaining it 100 times, right? Then its horns grew long, and it flew above the players' heads. And it announced Channel B7623 has been opened, the constellations have entered note, it's constellations, not emperor. Everyone looked in panic at the virtual screen that appeared before them. What is that? Countless expressions appeared, some worried, some interested, or like him staring blankly at the virtual screen for a few seconds. He frowned worriedly because of the words, Main scenario has begun on the virtual screen. The specifics of main scenario 1 are as follows. Proof of value, kill at least one living creature. Main classification. Difficulty F time limit, 30 minutes, reward, 300 coins, failure, death. It wished them well in good faith. All right, good luck everyone. You must show me an interesting story. Then it smiled wickedly. Everyone was horrified by its demonic smile and the You Live, I Die notification displayed on their personal virtual screens. Dokja's group were all surprised and scared when they realized something. A terrified and trembling Yusanga said the police. She picked up the phone to call and said, no one is picking up, what do we do now? Dokja reassured Yusanga. Miss Yusanga, look at me, don't panic. He asked her. You've played the dev team's game before, right? The one where the world is destroyed and only a few people survive. She replied fearfully. What are you talking about? Dokja continued to explain to Yusanga. Think of it this way. He held her shoulders firmly and said, right now we are in that game. She replied, confused. A game. He answered, that's right, and every game has rules. We just need to follow the rules. Dokja asked wonderingly. But what are the rules? He yelled in her face. That's what we need to figure out right now. Both of them realized something up ahead and stared at it in astonishment. Its body was white, and the dokebi's two horns suddenly grew long. Dokja realized the train car was surrounded by corpses lying everywhere. In addition, those who were still alive were panicking and terrified. and the old woman was muttering prayers in despair. He concluded, "There's no doubt anymore. The recent events have proven it." Dokja stated that his thoughts were correct, as the people around him yelled loudly, "Someone please open this damn door!" A voice replied, "Try hitting it with a hammer." He guessed, "The only thing I know for sure right now is..." He thought about the Ways of Survival novel he had been grinding through for the past 10 years. The information appeared on the screen. 3 ways to survive in a ruined world. Dokja thought to himself, "It has become reality. I am now present in its world." He tried to remember. Think Dokja, find a way. What do I need to do to survive? In this world, the system updated. Main scenario 1, proof of value. Take 1 or more lives. Main category. Difficulty F. Time limit 30 minutes. Reward 300 gold. Failure death. A loud shout erupted among everyone. "Everyone, let's calm down." That voice urged everyone on. "Take a deep breath and stop everything you're doing." Lee Hyun-song reassured everyone. "Is that all right? Please listen to me for a moment." He stated, "If you all watch the news regularly, you would know that in national disasters, if we panic and act rashly, it will endanger everyone. So if no one objects, I will temporarily become the leader to control the situation." The crowd around him clamored. Someone said, "Huh, who are you?" Another said, "National disaster." "Are you kidding me?" One of them said, "My brain is exploding." Lee Hyun-song showed his name tag and said, "I am." He explained to everyone, "First Lieutenant Lee Hyun-song, Unit 6502 of the National Army." The crowd buzzed. Someone said, "First Lieutenant." Another said, "He's a soldier." Lee Hyun-song provided evidence for everyone to verify. "This is a message sent from my unit just now." The people there were in an uproar. "What now?" One of them read the message and said, "Damn, inbox. A level 1 national disaster has occurred. All units proceed to the assembly point immediately." The person reading the message panicked and said, "A national disaster for real." The man in the white shirt lost his cool and yelled in his face, "Hey soldier, what the hell is going on?" Lee Hyun-song replied calmly, "I tried to contact my unit after that." But before he could finish, the helpless crowd yelled, "What is the government doing? Call the president and ask." Lee Hyun-song stated, "My apologies, but I'm just an ordinary soldier. I don't have the authority to contact the Blue House information about the Blue House Cheongwa-dae, the official residence of the president of South Korea." The man in white yelled, "Then why do you dare to volunteer to lead this situation?" He looked at the chaos unfolding before him and thought, "A national disaster with this situation, that makes sense." Dokja thought. "But what surprises me here is," he said to everyone, "for everyone's safety." He thought to himself, "First Lieutenant Lee Hyun-song." He looked at Lee Hyun-song and realized, "I know him. Although this is the first time we've met, I remember that name very clearly." Information about Lee Hyun-song: Steel Sword. Lee Hyun-song, First Lieutenant of the Korean Army. Dokja realized he was one of the important supporting characters in Ways of Survival. He thought to himself, "A character from the novel has appeared too. His voice and appearance are exactly as described." He suddenly pondered, but Dokja was suspicious. Was Lee Hyun-song introduced like this in the novel? He thought, "From what I remember, no. He didn't appear right at the beginning. Like this," Dokja added. His first appearance to the reader was after the first scenario ended. He wondered, "So what does this mean?" Dokja said helplessly, "This sucks. If only I could read it again. Now maybe I could find the cause." One of them shouted, "The Prime Minister is speaking live. It really is a level 1 national disaster." Yusanga gave him the information. Mr. Dokja information, citizens of the Republic of Korea. News media information. Certain areas, including Seoul at present, are temporarily occupied by unidentified terrorists. The government will mobilize all rescue forces, police and the military to quickly find a solution to deal with. He stated, "I know this whole speech too. Terrorism, that's right. That's the most plausible scenario everyone could think of. But listening to it again now, it seems a bit funny." Everyone there was watching the news. Someone said, "Why is the Prime Minister speaking and not the President?" Another said, "Rumor has it, the President has been killed." The rest of the group said in surprise, "Huh, really?" 2 young men stood shoulder to shoulder and asked. The guy in the gray shirt said, "I don't know. It says so in the comments." The other one replied, "And you believe that? It's just chaos." Dokja replied, "No, it's true, my friend." And soon, suddenly there was a sound, bang, bang, bang. Oof, it scared everyone. Update: the Prime Minister has by unidentified terrorists. All news systems experienced interference and lost connection. Beep, beep. A loud voice said, "Everyone, I told you so." The Dokaebi transformed into a giant and said, "This isn't child's play terrorism." Everyone was terrified when they heard it speak. "You still don't get it. Don't try to cling to hope. Don't you see how the current situation is just like in a game? Haha. According to the data, the people of this country are pretty good at games." He held his phone tightly as he listened to the Dokaebi's update. "Or how about this, let's increase the game's difficulty." As soon as it finished speaking, the system showed everyone 24 hours, 22 minutes. Everyone there was surprised. The Dokaebi answered, "That is everyone's time limit, which has been shortened." It reminded them 10 minutes remaining. Information, proof of value. Take 1 or more lives, main category difficulty. F time limit, 30 minutes reward, 300 gold, failure, death. The system displayed the report 10 minutes. The Dokaebi updated the information. A new rule has been added. If no one starts killing within the next 5 minutes, 9 minutes, 59 seconds, everyone will die. The crowd upon hearing that information panicked and shouted, "Huh, what now? Are you kidding me?" The guy in the brown suit yelled at him, "You heard what it said, right?" The short-haired girl lost her composure and asked Mr. Soldier, "What do we do now? Won't the police save me, Lee?" Hyunsong reassured them, "Everyone take it easy. Don't let it provoke you." A scared Yu Sanga clung tightly to Dokja. He realized, yes, everything is happening as I predicted. Dokja stated, knowing that the current situation is the opening event of Ways of Survival, I still have a persistent feeling of unease. Dokja looked at the panicking man and said, "The supporting character Lee Hyunsong has appeared, but," he wondered, "why haven't I seen that person yet?" Dokja thought he should have been here a long time ago. The pink-haired guy cried out in terror, "Ah!" The scene became more chaotic with information about the next car. "There's a murderer in that train car. Block the door. Don't let them through." Someone said, "We need to..." A light shone on the people standing nearby and touched them. The guys standing nearby all yelled, "Ouch!" They wondered, what is this? Something has appeared. The Dokaebi reported, "The train car will become sealed. No one in or out until the scenario is completed." It added smugly, "Haha, in some places, the game has already begun, but there are still groups that haven't done anything. All right then, consider it a gift of life. I'll let you witness the consequences if you're still rooted to the spot in 5 minutes. The system panel once again appeared before everyone. The guy with glasses saw it and exclaimed, "Huh!" He realized, that's the uniform of Taepong Girls' High School. The students in the projection screamed in fear. The Dokaibi announced, "The time limit is up." It added the penalty will now be carried out. He tried to remember. The students panicked when they saw bloodstains appear in the classroom. "Ah, help." The students yelled loudly, "Open the door. Is anyone there?" The short-haired female student cried out in despair, "No." The people watching on the system screen said fearfully, "Oh my God." No one could believe their eyes, huh? The short-haired girl was choked to her last breath. Ugh, no resistance left. Gek. The hand choking the girl gradually loosened its grip, slowly opening her hands from the girl's neck. Everyone watching couldn't believe their eyes. The female student who did the choking stood observing her next target. Announcement from the system, survivors of Channel 235 Fave. The eyes of that female student were filled with murderous intent as she looked at her target update, Taepung Girls High School Class, B Year 2. Lee Jihye. The Dokebi said loudly, "What do you think, fun is hell, right?" His hateful murderous gaze stared intently at it. Dokja stood on his toes. Everyone had the same expression. One of them yelled loudly, "What kind of sick game is this?" Her hand trembling with fear touched him. Dokja observed the situation around him. He looked back and thought, that's strange. Why hasn't that person appeared yet? Dokja looked up the information and stated, "The events I can remember and the unexpected events are happening one after another." He realized the only way to get a clear grasp of the current situation was to reread Ways of Survival. But an announcement, the novel you are searching for, does not exist. Dokja was flustered. The problem is it's still locked. The series isn't famous either, so there are probably no other sites that have it. His pupils widened as if he had noticed something. Dokja discovered some information in the dialogue box. Wait a minute. He quickly read the message and said, "Don't tell me, could it be?" He couldn't stop being surprised. Dokja observed the file downloading an attachment, "Download 3 ways to survive in a ruined world." He was surprised to find useful information in the dialogue box and attachment. Download 3 ways to survive in a ruined world. Dokja couldn't believe his eyes. He stared intently at it. He observed it multiple times before the information appeared on his device. He was horrified to discover, did the old author send me a copy of the entire novel as a gift? Am I holding a pirated copy? But the author sent it to me personally, so it should be fine, right? System update. You have received a special attribute. The special skill slot has been activated. He thought all survivors in Ways of Survival have special attributes as well as unique skills. Dokja stated, just like in a game. He closed his eyes and began to think attribute window. So maybe I should start by understanding my own attributes and skills. He was surprised by the system that appeared announcing cannot activate the attribute window. Dokja said in surprise. What? He looked at it helplessly. Attribute window. Attribute window. Cannot activate the attribute window. I didn't know this could happen. If I can't open the attribute window, what should I do now? He quickly looked up information about it. Worried, he said, "Whatever. Let's open that other file first." Announcement. Your reading speed is greatly increased based on your special attribute. He was surprised to hear that information. His feet weren't steady on the floor. Dokja's mind was in a daze. What was that just now? My attribute. Dokja realized he had finished reading the first act of Ways of Survival in less than a minute, and thanks to that, he now understood. Information. In train car 3707, he saw people gathering at the rear door. He looked up at the room number. It was 3807, Dokja said. This is car 3807, the source of my unease. He wondered, why are things happening differently from what I've read? Is it because my train car is different from the one the main character in the story was on? He calmly voiced his opinion. If that's the case, then what happened to the people in car 3807 in the novel? She quickly asked Mr. Dokja, shouldn't we stop them? Dokja stated, through the blood-smeared glass window of car 3807. He learned more. The adjacent train car was also the scene of a bloody massacre, and only 2 survivors remained. One guy who was caught said, "Hey, who said you could run? Don't make me feel guilty." That guy begged, "Please spare me, I need to." Kim Na-moon told him to stop whimpering. He struck mercilessly, sending the guy rolling on the floor. He realized, and I also know who those two are. Kim Na-moon yelled, "I told you to shut up." Dokja looked at him suspiciously and thought to himself, "I told you to shut up." He hurriedly sent a message. "It's highly likely Ms. Sang-ah will die. Only 2 people will survive. Other than that, everyone will die." A loud voice called out, "What are you doing?" Han Myong-oh quickly intervened and said, "That's an old woman. Have you thrown your morals to the dogs?" He recognized him as Director Han Myong-oh. Kim Na-moon exclaimed in surprise, "Huh," he yelled loudly. "Do you want to die, old man?" A surprised Han Myong-oh replied. What it answered. "Are you slow? You still don't understand the situation," he yelled in its face. "Who are you mouthing off to, you little punk?" It pointed at him and said, "Don't tell me you're stupid." The dokebi appeared. "Save me, ouch." "You all die," Kim Na-moon said. "No army is coming to save us," he added. "And if you want to live, you'll have to follow the rules." The other guy begged, "Please spare me. I'm a very virtuous person." He yelled, "Shut your damn mouth, you," Kim Na-moon said. "You're saying," he said fiercely, "we have to kill." He stated, "I know your type, old man. Only inhumane scum kill others to live." Kim Na-moon thought, "Your thinking isn't wrong, but it's not suitable for this time." Kim Na-moon confidently stated, "The law is gone. Only life and death remain. I want to live and will do anything to survive. Think carefully, who has the time to judge me as cruel and wicked? We are in a new world. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. That's it." Dokja realized Kim Na-moon, a young man who has quickly adapted to the rules of this new world. He added the decisiveness in his actions. It said fiercely, "How long are you all going to stand there and watch? Do you all want to die?" Dokja stated he has crushed the little humanity left within Kim. Na-moon said, "Damn it, but he's right." He stood helplessly watching it wreak havoc. He stated, "If no one is killed in the next 5 minutes, everyone will die." All eyes were staring at one spot. Dokja said, "In the novel, there was a passage that left a strong initial impression on me. They all simultaneously became butchers, lunging to tear apart their prey." He added, "Because if they don't act, they might be the next corpses to permanently lose their lives here." Dokja thought to himself. And me? I just stand still and watch everything as if I'm rereading that passage one more time. He looked at the chaos ahead and said, "I can only do this." In the novel, that nameless woman was also the first victim. If I try to change her fate, the future could also be changed, and the knowledge I've read in the novel will gradually become useless. Am I making the right choice or the wrong one, just standing by with my arms crossed? He gripped the phone in his hand as if taking his anger out on it. She said discontentedly, "At this rate she'll die." He stopped her. "Don't act recklessly." Yusanga replied, "I know," but Dokja said, "You could get killed too." The two looked into each other's eyes. Dokja called her name Sang-ah. He thought to himself, even though this isn't the old world anymore, her personality is still the same, selfless, kind, and good-hearted. Dokja stated, "However, the person who can change the story is not you. You are not the main character of this world." Dokja said, "Yusanga, you stay right here." She replied in panic, "Huh?" But he interrupted her. "Just listen to me. This one last time, I need you to trust me." He left decisively, leaving her to stand alone. Dokja encouraged himself. "It might still be a bit early to intervene right now. The original plan wasn't like this, but I have no other choice." She called out to him earnestly, "Mr. Dokja." He thought I wasn't standing still just now because I was wary of Kim Nam-woon and the others. Dokja thought, "It's also not because I agree with their inhumane actions." He hesitated to decide. Instead, I was waiting for a slim but incredibly important opportunity, and it's coming. A streak of golden light shot forward. He was resolute right now. Dokja rushed towards the group of assailants. Announcement. Proof of value. Kill 1 or more, people main category difficulty. F, time limit. 30 minutes. Reward. 300 gold. Fail your death. Time remaining 7 minutes 32 seconds. Dokja gritted his teeth. Kim Nam-woon also froze at the chaotic situation before him. Taking the opportunity while he was off guard, he lunged forward like a moth to a flame, hitting him without missing a single shot. Kim Nam-woon got beaten up by him, sent flying a good distance, and slammed hard against the wall. He screamed in terror. What the hell? The smoke was getting thicker and thicker. An enraged Kim Nam-woon yelled threateningly, "Do you want to die too?" Dokja calculated silently. At first glance, everyone would think I pushed Kim Nam-woon away to save the old woman, but that's only partially true. He glanced around, searching. Where is it? It must be somewhere around here. Meanwhile, Kim Nam-woon still wanted to physically attack the old woman. "What are you guys doing?" "Keep hitting her, kill her quickly." His eyes widened as if he had seen something. He noticed the box in a boy's hand. "Over there." Without much thought, he approached and placed a hand on the boy's shoulder, causing the kid to look up blankly, not understanding what was happening. He said hurriedly, "Let me borrow this for a second." Dokja mustered his courage and reached inside. He caught a bug and handed one back to the boy to hold. He didn't forget to add, "Hold on to it, okay?" Having said that, he turned towards the person attacking the old woman and shouted loudly, "Everyone stop. Even if you kill that old woman, you won't survive." Their faces were now contorted, hearing him say that everyone stopped. Dokja frowned, staring at the current scene which left him speechless. He bit his lip and thought, "Good, everyone has stopped." He tried to explain, "Let's say you all kill that old lady. Then what her death might help everyone extend their lives by another 5 minutes. And that's it." He posed the question, what do you do after that, which made everyone freeze in place? Dokja continued to explain. According to that Dokaebi's words, everyone will have to kill another person themselves. Who will that person be? The person standing next to you. Everyone quickly had their thoughts cleared and moved away from the old woman. Kim Nam-woon smirked cynically. Ha, he said inhumanely. So what if that's the case? He continued sinisterly. We can just kill cowards like you next. No need to be afraid of losing your turn. Everyone only has two choices, live or die. He looked at him fearfully, softly calling the name Kim Nam-woon. Suddenly he changed his attitude, smirking. Right? I knew you would say that. He played on their psychology and said, there's no need to put yourselves in danger like that. There's still a way to survive without killing people. Everyone asked in amazement. Huh, are you serious? He slowly continued. Have you all forgotten? The condition to complete this scenario is not to kill one person. Kim Nam-woon stood to one side, grinding his teeth in fury. He then held up a cricket and said, but to take one or more lives. The atmosphere was silent for a moment. All eyes were on him. Looking at the animal in the box, someone noticed and shouted, insects! Their eyes began to fill with greed, their expressions twisting with malicious intent. He has insects. If I can get them, then I... The despair and aggression were aimed at the unlucky woman. Now they've changed their strategy, frantically attacking him. The target has now shifted to Dokja, but for some reason his heart was still beating with excitement. Despite the life-threatening situation, he bared his teeth in a sinister smile and thought, why am I gritting my teeth and smiling so triumphantly? He wondered, is this my true self? Red eyes, as if possessed by a demon, were eyeing the insects in his hand. He then forcefully crushed one, then threw the box into the air. Everyone yelled in anger, this lunatic. But at this moment the system announced, you have achieved the first kill achievement. The reward for this achievement is 100 gold. Seeing this, the others yelled angrily, find them quick, you bastard, just you wait. Someone shouted joyfully, I found one. Ouch. Dokja was sweating profusely, anxiously staring at the announcement board. The time remaining is 3 minutes, 12 seconds. Someone asked him annoyedly, hey, why did you do that? He glanced at the other person, Kim Nam-woon, who stood there scratching his head and asking, just give them a few bugs, and it'll be fine. Only then did he reveal there are only 3 bugs left in the box, which made him widen his eyes in surprise and ask again, huh? Suddenly, he burst out laughing like a madman. Ha ha ha, so you threw the bugs away because not everyone can live anyway, he replied coldly. Yeah, he didn't stop continuing to laugh gleefully. Hey, hey, so funny. Seeing this, he still stood there with a somber face looking at him without saying anything. He continued to mock, if you were a normal person, that reason wouldn't be nearly enough for you to throw those bugs away. Kim Nam-woon's face transformed into that of a demon. His eyes were also bloodshot as he asked excitedly, be honest now, it's because you wanted to witness this scene, right? He frowned, not answering him, and slowly sized up his opponent. This is the nature of Kim Nam-woon. Cruel, indifferent, easily adapting to this lawless state. The system announced, special skill, character list, has been activated. Looking at the punk in front of him, a series of powerful information appeared. Character information, name, Kim Nam-woon, age 19, sponsoring constellation. None 2 constellations are currently interested in this character. Special attribute, delusional, Chunibu, special skills adaptation, LV3, knife fighting, LV1, corruption, LV1, basic stats, stamina, LV3, strength, LV4, agility, LV6, magic power, LV4, brief, introduction. A teenager corrupted after a special event. Players are advised not to interact with this character much. Dokja asked curiously, huh? Character information. He quickly grasped the situation. I see I can also roughly guess my own attribute. Of course this punk has to be a Chunibu. Most of the Chunibu who appeared in Ways of Survival couldn't handle this harsh reality and committed suicide, Chunibu syndrome. However, Kim Nam-woon was completely different. He looked at the guy delusional demon Kim Nam-woon. I can only say this kid is no pushover. He had been waiting for the world's destruction for a very long time, which is why he could adapt so quickly, and right now, he. Without waiting for him to finish his thought, he excitedly proposed again, cooperate with me, you seem pretty capable. The system immediately announced, the character Kim Nam-woon has a good impression of you. Your understanding of the character Kim Nam-woon has increased. He was also stunned by this feigned innocence. He's proposing to form a team with me. The notification reminded him again. Main scenario 1, proof of value. Take 1 or more lives. Main category difficulty, F, time limit, 30 minutes, reward, 308 gold, failure death. And the time remaining is 2 minutes and 59 seconds. The train car was filled with smoke and fire and corpses were scattered everywhere. The number 3707 was clearly visible through the thick dust. A pair of legs parted a path through the fire. A black coat fluttering in the smoke. The person stood before the car door. Inside screams echoed, "Where's the bug? I just saw it. Get lost, it's mine." Amidst those felled by the flames, Dokja said, "Sorry, but I'm not a big fan of teaming up." His calm demeanor was a complete contrast to Kim Nam-woon's. He scratched his head and chuckled. "Is that so?" What a shame, Dokja analyzed. If I accept Kim Nam-woon's invitation, I can guarantee my survival right now. Someone who hasn't read Ways of Survival would agree to team up with the kid immediately. He was extremely clear-headed. However, I know everything, his past, present, and even future, so I chose the answer most beneficial to myself. Kim Nam-woon patted his shoulder and said with a laugh, "Well then please step aside for now, I need to finish off that old hag over there." He gave a wicked, perverted smile. "Only then can I survive, right?" But his wrist was grabbed. He was stunned to realize Dokya was trying to stop him. He glanced at him coldly. "What now? Are you some kind of superhero for justice now, or do you have multiple personalities?" Kim Nam-woon uttered insulting words. "I guess all adults are bastards." Dokya also couldn't contain his anger and remembered meeting him in person. "Reminds me of why I hated this character so damn much when reading the novel. You curse adults. But in a few years you'll be a grown-up too, you brat." He violently yanked his hand away and cursed. "Turns out you're the type of person I hate the most." The system immediately popped up a notification. "The character Kim Nam-woon now despises you. Your good impression of Kim Nam-woon has decreased slightly." Without a word he attacked, I told you. He swung a powerful blow that grazed past him. "Get out of the way." Unexpectedly he dodged it, which surprised him. "Oh, you're fast." He gritted his teeth and thought, "I knew you would do that." In the end, I still have to face him. Kim Nam-woon swung again, but he blocked it with his elbow. "Try blocking this one." He clutched his aching arm and realized that's the special skill of the Chunibyu attribute. At this moment, Kim Nam-woon's body was enveloped in a bizarre purple-black energy corruption skill, LV1. Even Daksha had to be horrified. He can use it. He was lucky to dodge this blow. Kim Nam-woon's strike cracked the floor. He laughed with delight. "I don't know what this is, but this power is awesome." Daksha quickly recalled the principle. Because of Kim Nam-woon's immense potential, the main character had agreed to cooperate with him. Despite his crazed and arrogant nature, the system immediately announced, "Your understanding of the character Kim Nam-woon has increased." He clutched his injured shoulder, gritting his teeth and calculating, "Do I have to use that thing now?" A system panel appeared, stunning him. "You have met the conditions to use a special skill. Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint, LV1. Huh, Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint. What is this?" Inside the train car, curses echoed ceaselessly. "Damn it. Where did all the bugs go?" The constant tremors made the others panic. "Huh? What's that sound?" On the other side, Kim Nam-woon was still attacking Daksha, but without success. Despite trying, he still couldn't hit him. He furiously yelled, "Damn dog." His eyes had become crazed. "Why can't I hit you?" He was so tired he was panting, thinking fighting with faith, huh kid? The special skill, Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint, LV1, has been activated. He glanced at the notification panel like a flash right shoulder. Daksha immediately dodged to the left. He swung his fist again. Face. He stepped back and dodged the blow right in front of his face. His fist barely missed him. As soon as he activated his second skill, Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint, I can read all his movements with absolute precision. Kim Nam-woon's power seemed to shatter. He roared in anger. "I'm pissed now, dodge this, you motherfucker." Daksha, sitting on the ground, calculated. "But it's only useful for dodging. I don't have the strength to counterattack. I need to find a way to stall for more time." He said to him, "You have 2 minutes left." Kim Nam-woon immediately cursed. "Damn it." His eyes darted towards the target. Daksha also instantly realized, if he kills that old woman, he'll complete the scenario. He tried to reach out and protect the old woman. "At all costs, I have to stop that from happening." Kim Nam-woon again smiled triumphantly and pulled a folding knife from his pocket. "Do whatever you want. You're going to die anyway." As soon as he raised the knife, the skill also announced, Information Knife, Fighting Skill, LV1. This knife directly grazed Daksha's shoulder. He was in so much pain that his face was covered in sweat. His wound was being corroded by Kim Nam-woon's power. "Damn it. It hurts so much. It feels like my flesh is burning. I forgot about a kid who always keeps a knife on him." The knife missed and embedded itself deep in the floor. Daksha took the opportunity to lift the old woman up. He trembled, taking step after step, wanting to escape. Death was chasing right behind him. He panted and continued walking. "If I lose to Kim Nam-woon, I'll definitely die. The weak die, so the strong can live on." Such a simple rule. It's still true whether in this new world or on the old Earth. He remembered the days he was bullied. Humans have always trampled and torn apart those weaker than themselves, even during failures at work, but now it has become a matter of survival. If I want to survive, I must become strong. As he set the old woman down, Kim Nam-woon calmly approached with his knife. "Hey mister, you can't even breathe anymore. Just be good and die so I can live on, okay?" His eyes were filled with determination and hesitation. He suddenly stood up and said words that made him freeze. "Chungsil High School, Year 2, Kim Nam-woon. Do you think an insect egg counts as a life?" He was confused. "Huh. What nonsense are you spouting? Did fear drive you crazy?" He held something in his hand, gritted his teeth, and said, "The answer is, they will die." He crushed the insect egg in his hand. Yes, the notification board kept popping up. The reward for the achievement is 189 gold. You have taken a life. The reward for the achievement is 100 gold. You have taken a life. The reward for the achievement is 100 gold. You have taken a life. You have taken a life. The reward for the achievement is 189 gold. You have taken a life. The reward for the achievement is 100 gold. Kim Nam-woon was still bewildered. Why should I care? He forcefully swung the knife at him. About that. The system announced right on time. Do you want to view the guide for using gold? His mind worked continuously. Skip used 2700 gold to increase stamina points. 2788 gold has been used to increase stamina points. Stamina. LV1 to stamina. LV10. Your stamina level has just skyrocketed. Your body's endurance has been greatly enhanced. Just as the knife was about to touch Dokya's heart, The impact with his body caused the knife to shatter. Kim Namwoon was stunned. He quickly retreated. What the hell? Dokcha's voice rang out calmly again. During mating season, a grasshopper can lay up to 100 eggs at a time. His eyes turned cold. Today, the one who falls is not me but you. The screams still echoed behind him. Please, I still can't find it. The clock was about to run out of time. 0 minutes 57 seconds. Kim Namwoon tried to act calm, He screamed and lunged with his knife. Shut up and die obediently. Why aren't you dying? He was worried and sweating, damn it. The countdown had reached its final seconds. When it reached 0, time limit has expired. Commencing penalty execution. Unceasing screams echoed along with streams of fresh red blood. No. The system displayed a notification. Main Scenario 1, Proof of Value complete. Bugwang Line Train, 3434 car, 3887. 5 survivors. The dokebi covered its mouth and chuckled. What happened here? I was only gone for a moment to check on the other train cars. Corpses were strewn all over the train car. Luckily, it had magic. Otherwise, it would have been drowned in this pile of corpses. If it were unlucky, it might even trip over one corpse and fall flat on its face in front of another. The glossy train floor was stained red with blood, half dried and half still smeared everywhere, creating a deadly scene where the person who could stand calmly here looked more grotesque than ever. The 5 of them stood alone in the vast train car. More or less, they all kept a safe distance from each other, and none of them were untouched by dust and blood. And the announcement rang out. The virtual screen, once thought to only exist in futuristic sci-fi movies, now appeared before each person, once again. Main Scenario 1, Proof of Value completed. Bugwang Line Train, the 3434 car, for 3807, 5 survivors. The survivors? First, there's Lee Hyun-sung, who looks upright and gentle, but acted more ruthlessly and decisively than anyone. A born soldier indeed. If he wanted to, no one could escape. And after all that, he reverted to his usual compassionate demeanor. Next is the only female survivor of the old train car, Yusanga. Among the 5, she was considered the most unscathed, but no. Because of that, one might think she's weak or something similar. And perhaps because it was the first scenario, she still retained some kindness that shouldn't exist in these times. Third is Lee Gil-yong, an emotionless kid whose strength or weakness cannot be judged. By some twist of fate, among the survivors was also Han Mayong-oh. To him, human lives were like trash. He only lamented the money that the dokebi mercilessly burned away. A person who should have survived was now lying sprawled on the ground, Kim Namwoon, a tragic sight too pitiful to look at. Beside the blood-stained uniform was the knife that ended his bright future, and the last survivor stared blankly at the tragic scene, Kim Dokcha. Compared to the beginning, he now looked far more inhuman. No longer the atheist who dreamed of saving everyone. Now he has embarked on an acting career within the novel he read, shedding sweat and blood to pave his way to the top. The recent memories still occupied his mind. When it was near the end, he still couldn't escape his unnecessary humanity. Throwing the life-saving knife clattering to the ground and begging for help from the very species that had just taken countless lives. Save me. Please save me, I'm begging you. He asked in a low voice. Why should I do that? He explained in agony. Your life is very important. Everyone knows that. Only to receive a bitter reply, but that concept only exists in the old world, when in Rome do as the Romans do. You said that yourself while beating up that old woman. He broke out in a cold sweat, begging in despair. No, I don't want to die. Please, please, And he collapsed like so many before him, while he silently watched the end. Hot blood left a long streak on his cheek. His heart had grown cold. You were right. I'm just like you. I could have saved everyone. To say I have no regrets would be a lie. But what surprises me is, how can I be so calm? After everything, it's as if I've just read a chapter of a novel. A flicker of shock crossed his eyes as he looked at his reflection in the glass. The notifications didn't stop there. They continued to harass the players. You have taken a total of 124 lives. The amount of gold rewarded to you has been halved because the lives you took were incapable of resisting. You have received 6,200 gold. Automatically deducting the gold used to upgrade your stats, you have received 3,500 gold. At that moment, he suddenly realized his face had become shiny at some point. The bloodstain was gone, and from the window, the entire train car was gradually cleaned, as if the massacre had never happened, following the system's mechanical announcement. You have received the Mass Murderer achievement. You receive 380 gold as a stage clear bonus. You lose 190 gold to pay the channel usage fee, calculating additional rewards. The group stared blankly at the phenomenon in the train car. Only he understood clearly the old world had been destroyed, and a new world was being born. They were overjoyed to hear the familiar chugging sound. Hey, the train is moving. We'll finally get to go home. And he watched blankly. At this moment through the window, they noticed the strange sight of the outside world. Monsters had taken over the sky. It was impossible to distinguish between the color of smoke and stray bullets and the orange hue of the sunset. He blankly exclaimed, "What kind of monster is that?" My goodness, she looked outside in shock. The dokebi reappeared with first words that were very out of place. Ooh, wonderful. As for him, he could comfortably accept that he was the only reader who knew. The end of this world, and they were ready for the next battle. Outside, monsters roamed everywhere. The roads were in endless gridlock. They got closer and closer to the monster, and because of that they could clearly see its bizarre shape. When the chugging sound stopped, he held his head and screamed his lungs out. The train has stopped. That serpent is going to attack us. However, after waiting for a long time and seeing nothing, he became a little suspicious. He opened his eyes and his heart skipped a beat, realizing the monster was near the train, but just glided past. It didn't even touch the train. In contrast to everyone's bewilderment, he now had an omniscient status, so there was no reason for Doksha not to have some information about it. Information about the monster ran through his line of thought. That serpent is a monster, species called ichthyosaur, a sea serpent, a giant python. Common folk call it by many names. Later on, everyone would know it was a grade 7 monster in ways of survival, but for now, they could only be like him, peeking and observing with a question. What the hell is that thing? In short, the scenario is the most important thing in this world. As long as we are protected by the limits of the scenario, we won't be attacked by monsters. And now he glanced at the Dokaibi floating happily above. 1, 2, 3, 20, 21, a whole 21 constellations. No wonder it's so happy. Looking at its shrinking clear galaxy, he thought idly. The basis for this Dokaibi's leisure is that the stars above its head represent the number of constellations connected to this channel. Speaking of constellations, they are mystical entities that exist in the world of ways of survival. They are the ones who started all of this so they could sit and observe humanity from an indeterminate galaxy. To put it simply, they are like nobles watching slaves through a channel broadcast by the Dokaibis. Therefore the names scenario and actor are quite accurate, both elegant and correctly reflecting their current status as entertainers, just playthings for the beings above. He silently remarked, 21 stars isn't necessarily a lot, but for an apprentice, Dokaibi. Like it's quite good. Look at it shaking its butt happily. Ignoring it, he turned back to Kim Namwoon. If everything develops as in the story, Kim Namwoon will kill most of the people on the train and survive, but suddenly a notification appeared. Due to the influence of Kim Namwoon's death, 2 constellations now hold a slight animosity towards you. It's not hard to know the reason. He guessed before a few constellations supported him. So when he was killed, those constellations would turn to hate me. Looking at the notification again, he then picked up the knife from the ground. Thinking idly, the constellations are involved now. Things are starting to get serious. How ironic. Just a moment ago, I was the one observing everything, but now I've become the one being observed. One moment, he was mocking his own drifting fate. The next, a notification heralding a future of endless money rang out. A few constellations. Really like your performance. The constellations have sponsored you 500 gold. He was silent for a moment. Actually, it's not hard to understand. If there are constellations that hate me, there will also be constellations that like me. He thought simply, and so malicious thoughts occupied a part of his mind. Fine. If you all like to watch, then keep your eyes peeled and see. And in the end, you'll have to pay the movie ticket price with your own lives. Suddenly, Mr. Doksha, are you okay? He came to his senses. Waiting for him was her worried gaze. He was a bit startled at first. Miss Sangha, I'm sorry, but I couldn't save her. Only when he said it did, she realized. Silent for a moment, she hesitantly asked, but how could you? He didn't understand what she meant. It seems the two weren't on the same page yet, huh? So she decided against it. Never mind, it's nothing. Anyway, thank you very much. It made him even more confused. Only at her last words did he roughly understand. She said, because you threw the bug cage in my direction, when she was still dazed and could only utter, huh. Once he understood, replying wasn't difficult. It was just a coincidence. There won't be a next time, he said one thing, hoping she would understand 10. She fell silent, bowing her head. He resumed his thought process. She's smart enough to have survived the recent chaos, so she probably understands what I mean. My decision saved a few people, but also caused a few to die. Therefore, I have no reason to be happy right now. Because it was in a good mood, the Dokaibi looked much easier to talk to. It grinned from ear to ear. The faces here are all very promising, aren't they? The number of 5 people is also acceptable. After saying a few perfunctory words of congratulations, it turned back to curry favor with the constellations. And at the same time, thank you for the enthusiastic support of the 21 constellations watching this channel. You are number 1. He had lost interest in the constellation issue ages ago. What he was paying attention to was 5 people, more than I thought. Lee Hyun-song is not surprising. His stamina and agility are very good. Lee Gil-yong, probably this kid. He glanced at the kid huddled alone in a corner. Back then, he also received it, and amidst the chaos, he was calm without a trace of fear. He survived until now. He placed a hand on the boy's shoulder. Softly calling kid. The child turned his head warily. He asked sincerely, do you want to live? He explained this action. This isn't out of pity. To be precise, this action is hypocrisy, exploitation, completing his line of thought he offered. If you do come with me. And a notification appeared. A few constellations were moved by your kindness. The constellations have sponsored you 200 gold. By now he wasn't excited about this small amount of money. After all, his life wasn't even guaranteed. This amount of money isn't even enough for offerings at my grave. He thought to himself, people can think I'm inhuman or whatever they want. I just want to survive in this world. Because I know the future events and how this system works. What I need to do now is attract the attention of the constellations. Seeing the boy had warmed up to him, he reached out and friendly patted the boy's head. Meanwhile, the Dokaibi excitedly recounted. A lot of interesting things happened today. For example, the guy in the next train car. Suddenly, Han Myong-o, oblivious to his place, interrupted. Can we go home now? Luckily, he spoke up, giving him extra time to remember this person. That's right. There's also Vice Director Han Myong-o, who is still breathing, purely thanks to luck. He yelled, but we did what you asked. Huh, go where? You just saw a monster outside the train car. Do you still want to go out there? It asked back smugly, which was also a warning. Meanwhile, he thought off topic. But why would someone like him take the subway home? Usually he drives a fancy car to show off everywhere. As if to remind them, the giant serpent suddenly roared. It made him jump in fright, pressing himself against the wall. It continued. Overall, you all have impressed me. At first I thought this train car would be boring and maybe everyone would die, but then you proved that even the lives of insects have value. He took the words literally. That's right. So you're saying you also see us as just insects, right? Meanwhile, the serpent outside continued to show off its might. It returned to its initial easily bullied demeanor and said cheerfully, now perhaps I should reward you all a little. For the first scenario from now on, you will officially receive the protection of the constellations. Huh, why so glum, guys? What a great reward, right? Seeing they had no reaction made it glum as well. He silently snarked, that reaction is normal. Besides me, who else would understand things like constellations and protection? It seems after a long time of contact, it has now caught up with the human thought process. Let me explain. Currently, you all are creatures as weak as snails. If you participate in the next scenarios in your current state, the chance of you being immediately killed by a ground rat is 100%, not even needing the likes of that giant serpent. However, that can change if you wisely use the funds bestowed by the generous noble constellations. Do you understand what I'm saying? Lee Hyun-sung wondered. What do you mean, who is the sponsor? After such a long explanation, being asked about the basic initial issue made it angry enough to curse. Damn it, why are you guys so stupid? Fine, do it this way, figure it out yourselves, I'm not explaining anything more. Then it snapped its fingers, and a virtual screen appeared before everyone. The notification appeared. Sponsor. Selection. Choose a sponsor for yourself. That entity will become a steadfast and reliable ally necessary for the following scenarios. 1. Abyssal, Black Flame, Dragon 2, Demon-like, Judge of Fire, 3. Secretive Plotter, 4. Prisoner of the Golden Headband. Dokja rubbed his chin and thought, 4 of them, Yusanga, then called out, Mr. Dokja. She asked in a panic. There are 2 strange options on my screen, he replied coldly. Even if you ask me, I can't really help, just feel free and pick one you like. Consider this an aptitude test. Yusanga began to focus and think. Aptitude test. To have 2 constellations notice her. I don't know if it's luck or if they see her potential. The support of the constellations, also known as sponsorship, is one of the essential concepts of this world. Choosing a sponsor is very important. With this event, the constellations are currently watching us through that Dokaibi's channel. They can choose someone they like and offer support by making them their incarnation. For example, right now, there are 4 constellations that want to sponsor me. The special thing is they never reveal their real names. Doksha still stood there thinking restlessly, considering how the protagonist of Ways of Survival received 5 offers. So 4 isn't a small number. I can only rely on titles like Demon, Ghost, and Dragon to guess the true identities of the constellations. He recalled, I've read Ways of Survival, so I can consider it more carefully than others. Let's see. First off, a dragon with red eyes appeared incredibly majestic. This is the Abyssal Black Flame Dragon, a powerful entity, and also the leader of the star group named Black Cloud. If I remember correctly, its real name is very, very long. With the sponsorship of this dragon, I will receive incredibly powerful offensive skills. The upcoming scenarios all require stamina and strength, so this is a very beneficial choice. However, it's only beneficial at the beginning. The more I use its power, the more my human mind will be corrupted, and in the end, its incarnation will go mad and become a homicidal maniac. It really favors those with the Chunabu attribute. It seems that's also why, in the story, it was Kim Namun's sponsor. He wondered, so why did it choose me? So he frowned and moved on to the next one. We don't belong together. Next. Suddenly he was surprised to see the next information. This is a very unexpected offer. Demon-like Judge of Fire, a name reeking of demons and sin. However, demon-like here means it's not demonic at all. He calculated what's noteworthy is Judge of Fire, the supreme ruling entity, judging evil with an eternal flame. So it's the Archangel Uriel. He stood there muttering. I remember that. In the story, there was a character who accepted its sponsorship. Not a bad choice, I'll consider it. The entity of absolute justice is very strong, but to use its power, I'll have to follow certain rules and shackles. Okay, the third one. Next is the Secretive Plotter. Hearing this name, Dokja's eyes widened in horror. Damn, this is the first time I've ever seen this name. He felt regretful. If I could read it again now, maybe I would know who it is. But there's no time now. Perhaps it's an entity that was only mentioned briefly, but I'm quite sure that... Doksha stared intently at the information panel, hesitating as he analyzed. It's not as strong as the other 2. Let's consider finally. At lines 3 and 4, it made him exclaim, surprised. He loosened his tie with his hand and thought, who would have thought I'd be offered sponsorship so early? Prisoner of the Golden Headband, just reading prisoner, already suggests negativity and roguishness. But what's important is the latter part. The golden headband is the world's smallest prison, the one who must live and endure the pain from the eternal shackle worn on the forehead. The king of Flower Fruit Mountain possesses extraordinary power, proficient in martial arts, master of the magic of the great sage, equal to heaven, Sun Wukong. In the novel, someone received the sponsorship of this constellation, and since then, rumors have spread about him. Possessing the power to destroy hundreds of other incarnations, with just one staff, casting a divine spell that makes thousands of monsters vanish, he remained in the same position, muttering. The author wrote about it quite grandly, so I can still remember, such a supreme entity is also paying attention to me. He suddenly thought, if I choose the great sage equal to heaven as my sponsor. Everyone was in a difficult position, not knowing which one to choose. The atmosphere became extremely tense. Dokja, however, looked out the door at the countless corpses lying on the ground. He remembered someone and asked himself, then can I defeat him? The system then announced, the sponsor selection event has ended. The Dokebi cheerfully approached and asked, is everything done? Very good. Suddenly he laughed with amusement. Someone has made a very interesting choice. Whatever, you all will have a chance to choose again anyway. After saying that, he transformed and left. All right, everyone did a great job. Now rest for a bit. I will go and prepare for the next scenario. See you in 10 minutes. Dokja watched with a suspicious gaze. Then he extended his hand in invitation. Moingwoi chung talam quen chutenhe. Everyone, let's get acquainted. The cheerful soldier spoke first. Hello, I'm Lee Hyunsong. He also shook his hand and replied. Kim Dokja, he continued enthusiastically. This probably isn't a good time, but it's great to meet you, and you probably already know I'm a soldier. He stammered. It's more accurate to say, I used to be a soldier, right? He asked curiously. You can't contact your unit anymore? He nodded slightly. Yes. As soon as he shook his hand, Dokja felt a very strong hand, just like his title in the novel. Lee Hyunsong said gratefully. Thank you very much, Dokja-si. If it weren't for you, we would all be dead. Or if we were still alive, we wouldn't be human anymore. Dokja stammered awkwardly. No, that. Suddenly a hand landed heavily on his shoulder, making him jump. The other person praised. Well done, Mr. Employee. He quickly patted his chest to get his attention. Dokja, you know me, right? He turned around and quickly replied. Of course, Mr. Han Myongo, he argued angrily. Han Myongo, you should be calling me by my title, shouldn't you, Vice Director? He replied without any deference. This isn't the company. He angrily pointed and threatened. Hey, watch your mouth if you don't want to get fired. Do you want to play tough? Where are your manners? I haven't even mentioned what happened earlier. You know who I am yet. You didn't even give me a bug. You threw them around and made me search my ass off for them, Dokja said without any deference. Han Myong-o, shut your mouth for me. It made him freeze in his tracks. Han Myong-o's eyes widened in astonishment. What he then angrily explained. Do you really not understand the situation right now? Or should I have let that punk earlier punch you in the snout and kill you as he should have? It left him speechless. Looking at the monsters wreaking havoc outside, he asked, the company, does our Minosoft company still exist while the world is collapsing? Dokja continued to enlighten the people present. Not just you. Everyone needs to wake up. What that Dokaebi said is no longer a joke. I'm sure you all are gradually understanding that everything that just happened is real. He said to them seriously, a game-like interface main scene, 1 life value takeaway, 1 or more lives, main category, difficulty, F time limit, 30 minutes reward, 300 coins, failure means death. The status window, as well as special skills. Isn't that clear enough? Hearing this, the atmosphere grew tense. No one could utter a word. Lee Hyunsong dazedly scratched his head and said, it's like a fantasy novel I read back in the military. It feels a bit surreal. This isn't a dream, right? Dokja stressed 100% real. He asked curiously. Assuming you're right, what should we do now? Do you have any ideas or plans? Dokja-si. The system then displayed a notification the character Lee Hyunsong has started to trust you. Your understanding of the character Lee Hyunsong has increased. Dokja seriously replied, we need to get out of here. Hearing this nonsensical answer, everyone's eyes widened in helplessness. At this moment, the monsters outside were extremely aggressive. Han Myong-o reacted sharply, asking, hey, are you kidding me? Yu Sanga also objected, Dokja-si. I don't think so. Before she could finish, Lee Hyunsong interrupted. I know we need to act, but rushing out there isn't a good idea right now. Someone even voiced their concern. What if that Dokaibi kills us all? He listened and thought with a smile. He doesn't trust me that much yet, but slowly he'll come around. I will definitely get you on my team. The door behind them was suddenly being attacked, with force making everyone turn their attention in shock. Dokja's eyes widened as he thought, what's happening? Has the next scenario already begun? No, that Dokebi isn't back yet. That means the person on the other side of the door is the sole survivor of Car 3707. A pair of strong legs was using all its strength to break the door. Dokja deduced the identity of that person is too obvious. His face showed a flicker of surprise that person is coming. In Car 3707, he saw everyone gathered at the back door, the protagonist of this story. Dokja looked at everyone and reminded them, I'm serious. We need to leave Lee. Hyunsong, standing opposite, asked in confusion. But before he could finish, Dokja cut him off. Because if not, everyone will die before the next scenario even begins. At this moment, the door was about to be broken down with black smoke billowing. Lee Hyunsong hesitated and asked, but we don't know if the person breaking the door is an enemy or an ally. Dokja replied, think about it. A survivor, he killed everyone in that car. Do you still want to meet him? After this question, both Lee Hyun-song and Yu Sanga were dumbfounded and speechless. Only then did he actively shout, "Let's find a way out." Yu Sanga tried to open many doors, but it was all in vain. "This door won't open, damn it, this one too." Dokja calmly analyzed, because scenario 1 has ended. There's no more barrier, we just need to open the door. This side is broken too. When the enemy was close behind, Dokja tried to observe his surroundings. Out of 8 doors, there are 3 left to check. Please God, let at least one of them open. On this side, the back door is about to be destroyed by a mysterious force, making everyone jump in worry. Dokja gritted his teeth, waiting for what would happen next. Suddenly, Yu Sanga called out loudly, "Dokja, see over here!" They gathered, staring at a small gap. "We have to open it." A sliver of light brought some hope, but after the incident, it seemed to be damaged too. Lee Hyun-song noticed the problem and said, "So it's broken too." Dokja optimistically interjected, "But with this gap, maybe we can use our strength to break it." He thought to himself, "I can use coins to increase my strength stat, just like I increased my constitution earlier, but doing so is too risky. What if later I encounter situations that require coins and I don't have any?" Suddenly, he spoke. "Lee Hyun-seong-si. Use your skill." He asked dazedly, what the system immediately announced. "Special skill character profile has been activated." He still didn't understand, his eyes wide with surprise. "What do you mean?" The character information panel appeared. Name Lee Hyun-song, age 28. Sponsoring constellation, Great Mountain Push. Special attribute, a soldier who often turns a blind eye to injustice. Special skill, mountain pushing, level 1. Basic stats, constitution, level 8. Strength, level 8. Agility, level 7. Magic power, level 5. Brief. Introduction. This character's basic stats are all at a decent level. Although he has turned his back on justice to survive, a constellation has noticed his potential. That will be a good opportunity to atone for himself. Dokja felt relieved. Luckily, his sponsoring constellation and attributes are the same as in the novel he pretended to explain. You probably saw when the attribute window opened earlier as a soldier. I think you'd have a useful skill for this situation. Lee Hyun-song still stood there dazedly and asked, "Maybe, but to be honest, I don't know how to use it." He patiently instructed. "Think in your head about wanting to use that skill." He listened and was still dazed, just that. Lee Hyun-song quickly opened his mouth wide and shouted. As expected, it had some effect. His muscles bulged. His whole body was full of vitality, and in just a moment he had pried the gap wide open. Han Myung-oh, standing behind, saw this and was wide-eyed with astonishment. Lee Hyun-song delightedly turned back to look at Dokja and exclaimed, "It worked. It's amazing." The system immediately announced the character. Lee Hyun-song's trust in you has increased a little. Your understanding of the character, Lee Hyun-song, has increased. He was also secretly happy. Mountain pushing is different. He's strong as a beast. He seems to trust me quite a bit now, huh? There's not much time left. Everyone scrambled to escape run. He ran while calculating. The door to car 3707 will soon burst open. But if my memory is correct, that's not the biggest problem right now. Just then, a sinister voice echoed. "Oh my, I knew you guys would pull some stupid stunt." It was the Dokaibi. The Dokaibi was angry, its red eyes glaring in front of them. He gritted his teeth and reminded them, "Didn't I tell you earlier to stay on the train?" "Sigh, I haven't even finished preparing for the next scenario." Han Myung-oh panicked and held his head, blaming, "I knew it. That's why I said to just stay on the train." He continued, "What's done is done. Just consider yourselves lucky." At the same time, the system announced Scenario 2. The information screen appeared before them again, making everyone worried and rooted to the spot. The detailed content appeared. Scenario 2. Escape subcategory difficulty. E-completion condition. Cross the broken bridge and reach Oksu Station. Time limit 20 minutes. Reward 200 coins. Failure still remains a big question mark. Dokja broke out in a sweat, his expression extremely worried, just as I thought. Yu Sanga carefully read the information, asking in confusion, "Dokja, see. It says here, it's a broken bridge, but this bridge is normal." He ran forward with all his might. He didn't forget to urge, "Don't think about anything, just run. Hurry up." Yu Sanga's discovery was not wrong. "We left the train too early, so the bridge hasn't started to collapse yet. Current location to Oksu Station. But sooner or later it will collapse. You could say we're cheating, but this is the only way to complete the scenario." Everyone quickly ran after him. He thought to himself, "At this rate, it's possible." Han Myung-oh suddenly stopped. He asked in alarm, "Huh? What is that?" In front of them, a wave formed a violent whirlpool. The giant serpent rose powerfully from below. With its red eyes and massive body, it stared aggressively at Dokja's group. He also realized it's a single one, but this big, it must be the leader. It didn't waste words. It opened its huge mouth wide and lunged. Before its might, everyone panicked. "It's attacking, the bridge will collapse," Dokja said decisively. "Keep running, we can survive." And so they played a game of cat and mouse. The ichthyosaur still aggressively pursued from behind. He recalled the content of the novel he had read. In this scenario, it doesn't attack people. Its only goal is to destroy the bridge. Only 200 meters left. At this rate, everyone will escape before the bridge collapses. The Dokaibi stood in the dark corner laughing with amusement. If the game is too easy, what's the fun? When Dokja saw him above his head, he was startled, huh? The Dokaibi laughed gleefully. "You guys got a head start, how about I increase the difficulty a bit?" The system immediately announced the scenario's difficulty has been adjusted. The current difficulty has increased from E to D. Suddenly, a black and white energy continuously seeped into the air. Following that, a mechanical explanation was heard. The fallen are rising from the dead. Dark energy envelops this space. The corpses were covered by a magical force. They began to move. Yusanga looked back in alarm. What is that, zombies? The system coldly announced the evil-faced people have appeared. At this, the headless group trudged forward, making everyone who saw them scream in fear. Ah, it looks so disgusting, Lee Hyunsung called out worriedly. Dokja-si. The mechanical voice announced again, you have reached Oksu Station. They were surrounded by the evil-faced people on all sides, with no way to escape. Suddenly, a white smoke appeared around them, making everyone raise their guard. He frowned, gritting his teeth as he called out, everyone get down. As soon as he finished speaking, the ichthyosaur appeared from nowhere, creating an extremely chaotic scene. Someone worriedly shouted, Dokja. Sanga cried out tragically, Dokja-si. She saw Dokja struggling to sit up and stammered, You doc. He opened his eyes, surprised, as he looked at everything around him. In front of Dokja was a pile of ashes. The bridge and train tracks were broken. The ground was covered with corpses. Sanga was supporting Myong-oh. She was surprised when Dokja stood up. She went over Dokja-si. He angrily clenched his fists and thought, The bridge is broken. Although I knew this event would happen, Han Myong-oh and Yusanga also being stuck here is different. Hyunsung and Ji-yang shouted worriedly Dokja. He thought to himself, Lee Gil-yong and Lee Hyunsung have made it to the other side. He was struggling. What should I do now? Then the system panel appeared. An incarnation has received the blessing of a sponsoring constellation. Suddenly a light pink rock appeared. The system panel reported. Reality shift activated. It has a direct effect on the current scenario. That rock suddenly moved very fast. A system appeared in front of Dokja reality shift, even-numbered bridge. A bridge of light, created by the mystical power of a constellation has appeared, but it only allows an even number of people to cross. If the number of people using the bridge is odd, it will disappear. He didn't understand reality shift. Sanga awkwardly called out to Dokja, You Dokja-shi, why did my head suddenly? Dokja looked up in a daze. In the sky, the system said, Reality shift allows intervention and change to the reality of the ongoing scenario, if the outcome of the reality would cause great loss to the constellations. Myong-oh, exhausted, fell on Sanga's shoulder, while she stood looking at him in confusion. Dokja. Holding his injured arm, he thought the sponsoring constellation for Yusanga has changed reality to help her. This is extremely rare, even in the ways of survival. In the end, who is her sponsor? Activate character profile. The system continued to display, cannot view this target's information with character profile. This target is not registered. Dokja's face showed alarm. What does this mean? Could it be that the sponsor is a special constellation, or does she have a divine sense barrier skill? That's impossible, we've only just begun. Suddenly Sanga shouted, Be careful. She cried out, because someone was sneaking up to attack Dokja from behind you. He turned to dodge the attack and kicked the person. Dokja kicked him, sending him flying. He slowly got up. Dokja panted. I forgot. Now is not the time to think too much. The information panel appeared. Human level 9. Evil-faced person. Special. Evil-faced person controlled by dark energy. He secretly deduced these evil-faced people are no different from zombies. But if the host is a strong person, their evil-faced person version will be extremely dangerous. He looked at the name tag on his shirt. The name is Kim Namwoon. Dokja thought irritably. Why the hell is it him? He has been controlled. Namwoon was covered in blood with glowing eyes. Dokja asked in confusion, Have you run out of people to control? Namwoon charged towards him. The system reported activating special skill, Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint. This target is unconscious. Activating. Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint. Failed. He couldn't react in time, revealing a worried expression. Dokja thought anxiously, Damn it, it's not working. Now, the only way is to cross the bridge as quickly as possible, but there are 3 people here. Someone has to sacrifice. Dokja heard a sound behind him and turned around. He saw Myong-oh grabbing Sanga. He froze, looking at him while she screamed, calling for Dokja. Let me go now. He also stopped and looked at Dokja. Sanga cried out, Dokja-si. Myong-oh carried her and ran while she shouted in confusion, Dokja-si! He angrily couldn't believe his eyes. Seriously, that cheapskate, Han Myong. Oh. The system reported, the constellation, Hermit King of the Reclusive, feels you are too stupid and easily deceived. The constellation, Abyssal Black Flame Dragon, is impressed by your upcoming sacrifice. You have been sponsored 100 coins. Dokja looked at Sanga struggling and thought character profile. The system then said, cannot view this target's information with character profile. Dokja gritted his teeth and thought, he's running on one leg. The highest probability is that it's a skill. One-legged flying horse from that I deduce his sponsoring constellation is Petty Despot. He secretly pondered he definitely doesn't have a divine sense barrier, but why can't I still? Han Myong-oh probably isn't skilled or knowledgeable enough to resist character profile. If so, the reason I can't see their information is because the system appeared in the sky. Stigma, the power that incarnations receive from their sponsoring constellations. Stigma is different from the normal skills that characters can learn on their own. He blamed himself because they are not characters in ways of survival. Why didn't I realize that sooner? Kim Namwoon roared like a tiger, looking very fearsome. The controlled people all moved closer to Dokja. One of them charged and attacked him. Dokja fought back while urging himself on, think, now I can't cross the bridge on my own. Dokja panted tiredly looking at the group. So what if I grab one of these evil-faced people and force them to cross with me? Too risky, is there no other way? The system showed the time. He looked up and saw only 15 minutes left in the scenario. The Dokebi appeared resting its chin on its hand and said in a teasing tone, "Oh my, there's still a small soul stuck here. Are there any generous constellations who want to help him?" Dokja was still trying his best to fight against the controlled people. It looked and said, "Not a single one." Everyone on the other side was worried about him, it said sarcastically. How sad. Dokja seemed to be exhausted. His body had reached its limit. He was pushed away by those people. Dokja took a breath. His body was covered in blood. Behind him, the sea was surging. In front of him were the controlled people. Dokja thought helplessly, "Do I really have to die here? If only I had a combat skill right now." He screamed in his mind. Then things wouldn't have gotten this bad. Suddenly a system appeared behind Dokja's special skill. Bookmark has been activated. He turned back in surprise. The system displayed a book. He wondered. Bookmark. Small system panels appeared in front of Dokja. Character bookmark. Activated available storage slots. 3 loading bookmarked characters. The system continued to report available characters in storage. 1 delusional demon, Kim Nam-woon. Understanding, 25. 2. Lee Hyunsong. Understanding, 35. 3. Empty. The crazed Nam-woon was advancing to attack him. Dokja used his brain and thought, "In the 3,000 chapters of Ways of Survival, this skill has never appeared even once," he silently exclaimed. "But somehow, I know how to use it immediately." Then Dokja calmly said, "Activate bookmark slot 1. He imagined the scenes of Nam-woon. "I don't know what this is, but this power is awesome. Nam-woon beat him until he was bleeding all over. Die, you bastard." He spoke with a very arrogant tone. "When in Rome, do as the Romans do. This is no longer the old world." Dokja became full of power. The system verified storage slot 1 has been activated. The bookmark skill is still at a low level. Therefore, the activation time has been shortened to only 1 minute. Your understanding of the character is still low. Only a portion of the character's skills can be activated. He held the knife in his hand tightly. Corruption level 1 has been activated. The target he aimed for was Kim Nam-woon. Dokja split into 2. After looking back at how cruelly Nam-woon had treated him in the past, without a moment's hesitation, Dokja slashed straight at his face. Nam-woon screamed tragically. He knelt down and groaned, "Don't want to die." Dokja coldly watched Nam-woon fall. He looked at him with indifferent eyes while his clone was smiling with satisfaction. The system reported your understanding of the character Kim Nam-woon has increased. Bookmark 1 has expired. Sub-scenario escape subcategory difficulty. D-completion condition. Cross the broken bridge and reach Aksu Station. Time limit, 20 minutes reward, 200 coins. Failure is mysterious. Remaining time, 10 minutes, 11 seconds. Dokja's sweat increased. He raised his knife to defend himself. The remaining people continued to advance and attack him. Dokja was tired. "I'm exhausted." Damn it. Suddenly he remembered, where's that other guy? He should have been here by now. In front there was a shocking explosion. The controlled people were also attracted and turned to look. A man calmly walked over. Dokja smiled faintly, finally appeared. "The bridge has been repaired by that man's power?" The controlled people were distracted. Dokja pointed towards him, making them turn to look. He worriedly sweated looking at that man. He walked towards Dokja and casually killed a person, making him fall. He walked towards Dokja and casually killed a person, making him fall. His collar was neatly arranged. It was none other than Yu Jung-hyuk. He put one hand in his pocket. Yu Jung-hyuk's expression was unhappy as he slowly walked towards Dokja. He let out a long breath, his eyes glowing yellow. Yu Jung-hyuk stopped and asked, "Who are you?" He jumped and thought to himself, "You've got to be kidding me." Facing him directly like this, I could be on the altar in a second. Character profile. Activating. Character profile skill. The designated target has too much information, so the character profile will be converted to a condensed profile. Yu Jung-hyuk's hand reached for Dokja. At the same time, the system displayed condensed profile. Name, Yu Jung-hyuk. Attribute regressor. Third turn. Myth rare. Genius gamer. Special skills. Sage's Eye. LV8. Hand-to-hand combat. LV8. Weapons training. LV8. Divine sense barrier. LV5. Wide area. Control. LV5. Eloquence. LV5. Lie detection. LV4. Yu Jung-hyuk squeezed Dokja's neck tightly. He made him suffocate and cough continuously. Yu Jung-hyuk threatened and shouted, "Speak, how did you survive?" He shivered and thought, there are 3 ways to survive in this world. Dokja looked up at him and deduced, the one choking me is the one who verified the first method. He thought of it and was terrified. The regressor, Yu Jung-hyuk, all the tragedies that have happened and are about to happen to the world are caused by him. Hyunsong was squinting to see Dokja. He exclaimed, "I give up, I can't see anything. This barrier is blocking everything outside the station." Sangha worriedly thought, "Dokja see." Yu Jung-hyuk pushed him to the edge of the bridge, causing rocks to fall into the sea. He asked in a low voice, "Your name?" Yu Jung-hyuk repeated, "I'm asking for your name." He thought to himself, with this arrogant attitude, he must be the main character. Yu Jung-hyuk looked seriously at Dokja. Only then did he answer Kim Dokja. He commented, "A strange name." "Yes," Dokja said calmly. "Everyone says that." Suddenly Yu Jung-hyuk punched him in the stomach, making Dokja cough violently. Then he praised, "A pretty tough body." Yu Jung-hyuk said, "It seems you know how to use coins." He replied with difficulty, "You too." He punched him in the stomach again. Dokja grimaced and thought, "Damn, everyone has only completed one scenario, and he's already this strong. He's a monster." Yu Jung-hyuk then spoke, "Don't waste your breath on pointless things. From now on, only answer when I ask." Dokja thought anxiously, "This is bad. How do I get out of this situation?" In the early stages, Yu Jung-hyuk is the most dangerous person, because after 3 regressions, he has almost become a cold-blooded person. In the current situation, he would definitely not hesitate to do anything to achieve his goals. He shouted, "Answer, watch your mouth." Dokja cried out, making him punch him again. Fat chance. Dokja screamed because his attack was very strong. Yu Jung-hyuk didn't expect him to be able to block with his hand before he punched. Dokja said in a higher voice, "Sorry, but I'm older than you, Mr. Genius Gamer." Yu Jung-hyuk. He smiled challengingly. "The one who needs to watch their mouth. Here isn't me." The system displayed the character Yu Jung-hyuk is wary of you. Yu Jung-hyuk wondered, "You know me?" He quickly said, "Just a coincidence because I work for a game company." But in Dokja's mind, he thought, "I have to lie about this. You're simply the main character of a novel I really like." He continued to lie to him. "And you used to be very famous. To be honest, I was a fan of yours." Dokja thought to himself. The fact that he's famous is true in the novel, so saying, "I'm his fan," isn't wrong either. Dokja manipulated Yu Jung-hyuk's mind. "I've liked, hated, been angry with, and been happy for you." He juggled, "I've accompanied you through more than 3,000 chapters. Yu Jung-hyuk said gently, "A fan? It's been a long time since someone said that." He lifted Dokja's entire body and brought him to the edge of the bridge. "I'll forgive your way of speaking, but your situation hasn't changed," he replied calmly. "I know I'm not blind." Yu Jung-hyuk was serious. "Next question," he asked in a higher voice. "How did you survive the previous scenario?" Dokja thought. "I see." He asked, "If I answer, will you let me go?" Yu Jung-hyuk still choked him. "We'll see." He thought he's lying. Dokja looked away and said to himself, "I can tell just by looking at his face, not to mention I've read everything about his life. Now what should I say to convince Mr. Gamer?" The system panels reported your understanding of the character Yu Jung-hyuk has increased. Your understanding of the character Yu Jung-hyuk was already at a very high level. Dokja looked at the system panel in surprise. "You have met the requirements to activate the skill, Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint. Do you want to activate the skill?" Yu Jung-hyuk was stunned and thought it should have only been Lee Hyun-sung and Kim Nam-woon who survived in that car. But Kim Nam-woon is dead, and there are others who survived. What happened? Who is this guy? He made a plan. I need more information. If he can really be an obstacle for me, then kill him. Dokja was still confused. What this is? Yu Jung-hyuk's thoughts like when I read Kim Nam-woon's thoughts? He was satisfied and smiled smugly because he read Yu Jung-hyuk's mind. The system displays the time. Only 5 minutes left. Dokja is saying I survived thanks to... Yu Jung-hyuk then interrupted. "I finished the scene by killing insects." He looked at him seriously. "I was just lucky I happened to find the kid's insect box in the same compartment when the explosion happened in the next compartment." He turned his face away and thought nervously, "The future has changed. The explosion. The insects." Dokja thought smugly. Surprised kid didn't expect that. Only Kim Nam-woon and Yu Jung-hyuk were supposed to survive. Yu Jung-hyuk blamed himself. "It's because I was different from last time, creating an explosion and killing everyone inside." He kept thinking, but even so, there are still too many doubts. This guy is extremely calm. Ordinary people would be panicking. He adapts very well to this cruel world. Yu Jung-hyuk frowned nervously. "There's a high chance he's the one who killed Kim Nam-woon, but that also means he's very dangerous." Dokja slowly said, "So can you let me go? There's not much time left. Let's go to Oksu Station together," he replied awkwardly. "No." His left eye turned yellow. "Your presence is extremely suspicious." He thought fearfully that Yu Jung-hyuk's SSS level skill, Celestial Eye. Dokja was lifted up by Yu Jung-hyuk and thought, the Celestial Eye, a skill that can see the target's status window along with all the hidden information. This is the strongest observation skill in this world. I'm wondering why I haven't used the Celestial Eye yet. This is beneficial anyway. I haven't even seen the status board myself yet. He secretly predicted it sees, so I should use this opportunity to learn more about myself. The system appeared again. Special skill. 3rd wall, 4th wall, detect special attack from Celestial Eye. Yu Jung-hyuk widened his eyes. What the hell? He suddenly lost his balance, making Dokja confused. Yu Jung-hyuk also didn't know what happened. What happened? The system announced, the 4th wall has successfully blocked the Celestial Eye. Many veins appeared on Yu Jung-hyuk's face. He was angry. "You bastard!" he shouted. "Who the hell are you?" Sub-scenario, escape subcategory difficulty, decompletion condition, cross the broken bridge and reach Oksu Station. Time limit, 20 minutes reward, 200 coins. Failure is mysterious. Remaining time, 10 minutes, 11 seconds. Time remaining, 2 minutes, 14 seconds. The sky was beginning to have dawn. Dokja thought. Who would have thought? I can even block the Sage Eye bookmarks and now the 4th wall. Dokja flinched as he looked into Yu Jung-hyuk's eyes. He glared at him. "Must kill him now," he stuttered. "Yu Jung-hyuk, wait a minute," he thought confusedly. "Oh no, the situation is getting complicated now. He doesn't believe the lies anymore. Now I have to change the plan." He quickly said, "That's right now. You need a capable companion because you can't complete scene 46 alone, right?" Yu Jung-hyuk was annoyed. "How do you know that? Could you also be a regressor?" He immediately replied, "Who I am isn't important. What's important is that I can also help you." He looked at Dokja fearsomely and thought, he's not a regressor, because if he was, it would be impossible for him to have hidden until now. So that means, he tried to stop him. "Yu Jung-hyuk, I know a future you don't." Suddenly his eyes lit up. The system displayed, The character Yu Jung-hyuk has activated the skill, lie detection. Lie detection, confirming your words are true. Yu Jung-hyuk thought in alarm. Impossible, is there another prophet, besides Anna Croft in South Korea? The system reported prophet, in ways of survival. This is the only attribute that allows a character to see the future and simultaneously possess the innate ability to neutralize lie detection. In reality, there is only one person who possesses the prophet attribute in ways of survival. Yu Jung-hyuk interrogated, "Can you use future sight?" Dokja was awkward. "Something like that." He continued to ask. "So you knew I would appear here?" He said exactly. Yu Jung-hyuk squeezed his neck tightly. "Yu Jung-hyuk, I know you have a special power, and you also have knowledge of the future, right?" Dokja struggled to speak. However, the knowledge you have is not perfect. He thought a regressor is resurrected, returning to the starting point if he dies. Therefore, he has information about events that will happen. But if he uses them to change the present, then the future will also change. In other words, if the regressor doesn't repeat the exact same actions that happened in his previous life, the knowledge of the future he once knew is useless, Dokja asserted. "Let me accompany you, I can make up for those shortcomings." Then he said to himself, "A prophet is the perfect companion Yu Jung-hyuk needs, and I can play a similar role." He knew because he was the only reader of this story. Yu Jung-hyuk unhappily gritted his teeth and looked at him. He squeezed Dokja's neck even tighter and thought, "Prophet, yes. Very useful, not just for scenario 46, but also when I fight the Zarathustra bastards. But can I trust him?" Yu Jung-hyuk tried to think. A companion, 50 seconds left to complete the scenario. The system reported 50 seconds left to complete the scenario. The system continued to announce 40 seconds left to complete the scenario. Suddenly Yu Jung-hyuk spoke, "All right then, you'll come with me." He pulled Dokja's collar, making him unable to react. Then Yu Jung-hyuk pulled him along and Dokja cried out, "Wait, let go." A moment later he stopped walking. The system displayed reality shift even-numbered bridge. A bridge of light created by the mystical power of a constellation has appeared, but it only allows an even number of people to cross. If the number of people using the bridge is odd, it will disappear. Surrounding the two of them were the controlled zombies. Sanga worriedly exclaimed, "What happened to Dokja-si?" Hyunzong reassured, "We can only wait." Yu Jung-hyuk coldly looked in another direction. His hand still pulled on Dokja's collar, making him uncomfortable. Dokja silently endured. "At least I was saved. This regressor is as stubborn as in the story, what a bastard." The system displayed, "Continuous stressful thoughts have made your spirit tired. Special skill, Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint has been deactivated." He thought nonchalantly, "I've lost the ability to read minds. I wonder if it's a big deal." Dokja followed Yu Jung-hyuk and thought, "But for now, it's okay. I was able to convince Yu Jung-hyuk, and at the same time, cross the bridge." While they were walking, Yu Jung-hyuk suddenly turned back. Surprising him, he spoke. "I'll ask you one last question." He gripped Dokja's collar tightly. "If you're really a prophet, then you must also know your own future, right?" Suddenly Yu Jung-hyuk lifted Dokja up, making him unable to react. He brought his body to the edge of the bridge, making Dokja worried. What the hell now? An ichthyosaur surged up from the sea. It made Dokja think, "I have a very bad feeling." Yu Jung-hyuk spoke. Then he noticed the ichthyosaur opening its mouth towards him. He let Dokja dangle and threatened, "Will you let go or not?" He thought irritably, "This crazy bastard again." Dokja tried to console himself. "I understand him better than anyone. The Yu Jung-hyuk I know would." Thinking this, he calmly spoke, surprising Yu Jung-hyuk. "Before I answer, I have two things to say." Dokja tried not to be afraid while he listened intently to him speak. "From now on, you'd better behave properly with me. And second, I will cooperate with you only if you promise that you will cooperate with me too." Yu Jung-hyuk said in a low voice, What is your answer?" Dokja smiled a satisfied and cunning smile. "Let go of me and get into the station, you arrogant bastard." Yu Jung-hyuk immediately let go of his shirt. It made Dokja fall without being able to react. He realized he was about to fall into the monster's mouth and screamed endlessly. Yu Jung-hyuk said profoundly, "I believe you. Now, a prophet is different indeed." Dokja's eyes widened in a daze as he looked at Yu Jung-hyuk. He couldn't believe it and had to exclaim in his mind, "Really?" Dokja's entire body had fallen into the monster's giant mouth. He admired himself, just as the rumors say. As soon as Dokja entered its mouth, it swallowed him whole. The system displayed a notification, "You have failed to complete the scenario." Dokja's body was swept away by the current. He struggled to hold his breath, lamenting in his heart. "It hurts so much, but I have to try stay conscious. I can't pass out now." After a while, Dokja's body and the others had fallen into the ichthyosaur's stomach. He quickly surfaced from the water and breathed. Dokja gently patted his chest to cough up all the water. The water in here reached Dokja's chest. While looking for a safe place to rest, he thought, "It's a miracle I managed to get into its intestines without being torn to shreds." While walking, Dokja shone his light to see the path ahead. The scene before him was extremely chaotic, with corpses lying everywhere along with other objects. Seeing this, Dokja not only didn't panic but also exclaimed, "A truly spectacular sight." Then he continued to curse, "Damn it." Dokja struggled to wade through the water. His destination was a concrete slab floating on the water's surface. Using his strength, Dokja successfully climbed onto the concrete slab. He muttered and cursed, "Yu Jung-hyuk, that crazy punk. Is this how you treat an ally? I need to survive and get out of here to be acknowledged by him. Saojo ansh lien giai teach." After that, he explained. But this isn't exactly hard to understand either. After his quick death in the first turn, Yu Jung-hyuk has never truly accepted an ally. With the title of regressor, he was even praised by everyone as a savior that created an even greater distance between him and everyone else. He also stated that to him, humans were of two types: enemies or lower-class beings. Dokja had long since realized this was a test from Yu Jung-yok for him. To him, humans were of two types: enemies or lower-class beings. He wanted to see if I was strong enough to be an ally, but he still couldn't help but curse angrily. What a bastard. Then he closed his eyes and thought, check mailbox. As he thought the system displayed you have failed to complete the scenario, it continuously announced processing results. 100 coins have been deducted for using the channel. The constellation, Prisoner of the Golden Headband, is satisfied with your excellent performance. You have been sponsored 100 coins. A constellation's comment appeared. The constellation, Abyssal, Black Flame Dragon, agrees with your choices. You have been sponsored 100 coins. The constellation, Hermit King of the Reclusive, feels disappointed with your performance. Faced with these notifications, Dokja just sat and watched in silence. Outside, the ichthyosaur was moving, which caught his attention. It created a violent tremor in its stomach. Dokja immediately noticed the ichthyosaur is moving. He recalled the content of the novel, according to the ways of survival. They begin the process of secreting digestive acid for food, 3 hours after swallowing something. From the information in the novel, he also understood the current situation, meaning he didn't have much time left. A sudden voice echoed. This poor little soul seems to be getting unluckier and unluckier, huh? But it's also very interesting. Dokja reflexively turned to look. That voice belonged to the Dokkaebi. It slowly appeared in midair. Seeing that he asked curiously, Dokkaebi. It nodded. Yes, it's me. You seem quite calm, huh? Dokja looks at Dokkaebi said, because I'm waiting you, huh? Dokja didn't answer immediately but thought, just wait, Yu Jung-hyuk. After that, Dokja set a goal for himself. This test I won't just pass it, I will even become as strong as you. He became excited. Then you will have no other choice. Meanwhile, Yu Jung-hyuk outside was watching the ichthyosaur. Dokja continued. Besides acknowledging me as an ally, while he stood silently, the Dokkaebi next to him asked, so you knew I would appear? Yu Jung-hyuk had just left as well. He spoke, yes, you came to collect my coins. The Dokkaebi's body emitted light. It calmly asked Dokja, and why should I do that? He answered knowingly, that's the price to pay for not completing the scenario. The Dokkaebi didn't reply, but asked Dokja back, I thought you would have to pay with your life. Thanks to his knowledge, Dokja refuted fluently, if what you say is true, then in the failure section it should be death, not. The mission board displayed, sub-scenario escape sub-category difficulty, D-completion condition, cross the broken bridge, and reach Oksu station. Time. Limit 20 minutes. Reward. 200 coins. Failure. He continued to analyze. That means, when we fail, we can negotiate, right? The Dokkaebi praised Dokja. Praiseworthy, very praiseworthy. It slowly said to him, to deduce that from just a small detail. No wonder you attract the attention of so many constellations. Just as you said, failing this sub-scenario isn't the end. You just need to cough up enough money. Dokja listened with a dejected expression. After speaking, the Dokkaebi put on a despicable face. And I demand 100 coins. Then you can continue your journey. Hearing that, Dokja wondered. 100 coins. He looked at the amount of CE oins on the system. Remaining coins 100G. In his heart he was cursing wildly. Is this dog kidding me? Dokja angrily cursed. Then there's no damn money left. You might as well climb on my head and sit there. The Dokkaebi waved its hand, throwing him an absurd line. Or die. It lazily lay down in mid-air and challenged Dokja. So what? If you refuse, let me kill you and then go to sleep. He wouldn't be outdone. Then kill me. Dokja's words made it panic. He continued to challenge the Dokkaebi kill me, making it not know what to do. Without letting the Dokkaebi reply, Dokja said again, but you can't do that, right? He thought confidently. Of course not. It needs me badly. Dokja smiled, certain of his deduction. You yourself said many constellations are interested in me, didn't you? If it intended to kill me from the start, it wouldn't have come all this way to talk. The Dokkaebi was successfully provoked by him. This arrogant human. You're a bit too smug. But before it could finish, Dokja interrupted, low grade. Dokkaebi Byung. He then asked the Dokkaebi, is the life of a streamer wonderful, making it dazed. The Dokkaebi was extremely frustrated. How do you know my name? Who are you anyway? A normal human couldn't possibly know. Dokja didn't answer its question, but said bluntly, that's not important right now. Dokja talks with Dokkaebi. I will continue when you turn off the channel. Live stream gradually disappears. Dokkaebi said in a low voice, so, speak. At this time, Dokkaebi was no longer polite and asked Dokja, how did you know about this live stream, a person like you? Dokja told him, that doesn't matter right now. He offered a temptation. Byung, you want to become the Dokkaebi king, right? Hearing that the Dokkaebi was utterly stunned. You know that too. Dokja interrupted again. Listen here. If you want to surpass Dokak and Gildal, and become the best streamer, defeat all the other Dokkaebi. Dokja extended his hand, calling its name. Then Dokkaebi Byung. He said sincerely, make a deal with me, I will make you. Dokja paused. A moment later, he continued, the Dokkaebi king. Dokja's words moved it. Dokja made an offer. Dokkaebi Byung, make a deal with me. He extended his hand towards it and added, I will help you become the Dokkaebi king. Hearing that, the Dokkaebi just smirked. Then it laughed loudly. That's crazy, you've really lost your mind. The Dokkaebi then mocked Dokja. I should have guessed this after you refused the sponsorship of all the constellations. Right, back to the time on the train, the system gave him a choice. Choose an entity to sponsor you. That entity will become a strong and reliable ally necessary for the following scenarios. 1. Dark Flame, Silver Dragon. 2. Fake Demon, Flame, King. 3. Hermit King of the Reclusive. 4. Prisoner of the Golden Headband. Dokja denied its words. That's right, during the sponsor selection event on the subway. At that time, Dokja made no choice. In his heart, he thought I didn't do anything. Choose a sponsoring constellation. Choose an entity to sponsor you. That entity will wait to become a strong, reliable ally for the H scenarios. 1. Dark Flame, Silver Dragon. 2. Fake Demon, Flame, King. 3. Hermit King of the Reclusive. 4. Prisoner of the Golden Headband. The Dokkaebi said curiously, the reason you know about the streaming system is still a mystery. It hovered in midair and continued. But in short, I can't accept this offer. Unlike the constellations, I can't sponsor you. Dokja just calmly said. Hasty again. He slowly explained who said anything about sponsorship. The Dokkaebi was surprised, and added, I don't need your power. What I need is the channel you're broadcasting. It asked dazedly. My channel? He asked impatiently. Still don't understand. Listen carefully as your Korean language patch broken. After speaking, Dokja emphasized again, I want to sign an exclusive contract with your channel. After he finished speaking, the Dokkaebi finally understood. Wait a minute, you're talking about a streaming contract? Dokja nodded. Exactly. Some regulations about streaming agreements, streaming contracts, which are originally contracts made between Dokkaebi and constellations. The incarnations of constellations will be required to participate in certain channels. The Dokkaebi managing that channel will receive a portion of the money earned by the incarnations in the contract when they perform scenarios. According to the contract regulations, normally incarnations do not have the right to interfere with these contracts, with the Dokkaebi even under the guise of sponsorship. Sponsorship is just a euphemism for the fact that incarnations are slaves of the sponsoring constellation. The Dokkaebi smirked. It's getting more and more humorous. The Dokkaebi's face became ferocious. It asked Dokja with amusement, a small weak human wants to make a streaming contract with me, you who don't even have a sponsoring constellation. He still replied calmly. It's because I don't have a sponsor that this deal is valuable. The Dokkaebi wondered what Dokja asked it back. Why do you think a constellation would watch a streaming channel? Some information about subscribers. The subscribers of the streaming system basically consist of two groups. They are divided into two sides with different interests. Left, the first group are entities seeking entertainment. They need to watch something interesting. On the other side, right? And the other group consists of those seeking incarnations they want to sponsor, whom they consider worthy. Dokja provided some knowledge to it. You need to satisfy the needs of at least one group to have a relatively large audience. Either make the scenarios interesting with a good script and engaging plot, or have talented people that make them want to invest. But the Dokkaebi didn't let his words enter its ears. It asked impatiently, all right, you know a lot of things. But so what? Dokja then teased it. Do you really still not understand? At this rate, when will you increase the number of viewers to 3 digits? The Dokkaebi said arrogantly. Shut up. Answer my question now. Dokja tried to convince the Dokkaebi. How about this? I'll help your channel satisfy both groups of viewers. But it said disdainfully. Nonsense. Dokja didn't mind the Dokkaebi's words. He got to the point, no matter how interesting an incarnation is, those seeking incarnations will leave the channel after their sponsorship is accepted. But on the contrary, what if that small human doesn't accept sponsorship from anyone? Hearing Dokja's information, it was so surprised it couldn't speak. Seeing the Dokkaebi's expression, he started to entice it. And what if even without being sponsored by anyone, he can still become superior and stronger than those with sponsorship? The Dokkaebi sternly asked him, wait a minute, that's the reason you didn't accept any. Dokja immediately replied, that's right. He didn't forget to remind the Dokkaebi, I bet the constellations up there are screaming like crazy demanding you reopen the channel, making it jump in surprise. Dokja was on one side muttering, they are extremely curious, wanting to know who this person who dares to challenge a regressor is, asking questions like, does he really know the future? Then why did he have to be swallowed by the ichthyosaur? Is he really a prophet? The Dokkaebi awkwardly opened the system. Shut up. It even scolded him. You're just stop bullshitting. A weak human can't possibly defeat the power of the constellations. Stop bullshitting. A weak human can't possibly defeat the power of the constellations. Dokja, on the other hand, replied comfortably. No, you're the one who needs to shut up. Like I said, you can't kill me either. So the best choice right now is to cooperate with me, and I will help you become king. The Dokkaebi couldn't believe what it was seeing. Dokja knew he had predicted correctly, he smiled. It couldn't accept this and tried to change the subject. Anyway, let's deal with your failure first. Pay me 100 coins, and then, he asked innocently, what who failed? Dokja slowly stood up. He said cryptically, I have completed. When he was standing steadily, Dokja continued, the conditions. He casually reminded the Dokkaebi, in its confusion, now reopen the channel. Dokja pointed to the sky, speaking confidently, everything is about to begin. In the night sky, a series of meteors were free-falling to the ground. In the nearby river, a school of ichthyosaurs swam back and forth in this place. One of them slightly opened its mouth. It suddenly rose from the water and roared angrily. Inside the ichthyosaur's stomach, a waterspout formed. The current was pulled into the waterspout, carrying the body of a deceased person. By clinging to the stomach wall, Dokya was lucky to survive. Although his body had reached its limit, his two eyes were still focused in one direction, where Dokya was clinging to the urchin spines stuck in the ichthyosaur's stomach. I don't know how much time has passed. The dark circles under Dokya's eyes have become more pronounced. He wondered. How much time has passed? The fatigue made his will waver. Can I really get through this? In his delirium, Dokya muttered, I'm just a normal reader. In his delirium, Dokya muttered, I'm just a normal reader. After that, he remembered his mother. Mom. Are you still okay? You'll probably be fine because no one else is mom but you. At this moment, Dokya's body was almost falling apart. His two eyes slowly closed as he asked himself, isn't this a dream? Dokya thought, I wish this was just a dream, even though life is never easy. Thinking this, he felt it was ironic. But there's no way I'd die in a fish's stomach like this, right? The ichthyosaur's stomach had countless bleeding wounds. Nearby yellow sparks were emitted. Dokya's whole body trembled, yet he still tried to cling to the urchin's spines to survive. A voice echoed, making Dokya pay attention. The dokebi suddenly appeared behind him. It praised. You're pretty good. The system displayed a notification. A few constellations are impressed with your survival ability. The constellations have sponsored you 100 coins. Dokya's eyes stared blankly at the dokebi as he thought, 4 days have passed since the scenario began. Dokya fainted from exhaustion. His two eyes turned white. The dokebi was still on one side, muttering, I really didn't expect you to use it to stab into the digestive tract of a sea monster. Dokya fainted from exhaustion. His eyes rolled back and the dokebi was still nagging on the side. I really didn't know sea urchin spines could be used in this way. Truly surprising. His whole body lost balance and fell, leaving it wide-eyed in astonishment. Outside, the ichthyosaur had died at some point. The system screen displayed, the hidden scenario has ended. You have been awarded 9,000 coins. You are the first to successfully hunt a 7th grade sea monster. You are awarded a completion bonus of 1,000 coins. After a moment's rest, Dokya gradually regained his strength. He shouted joyfully, I'm alive. The dokebi began to explain about the sea urchin spines. Sea urchins are coastal creatures considered food for other sea monsters. The system displayed item sharp stone. Sea urchin spine. Stock 17, price 100 coins. It continued to explain. Normally, these spines are sprinkled onto the epidermis of the prey, gradually causing the prey to wither and die from depletion. The dokebi flew close to the sea urchin spine stuck in the stomach. It seemed quite surprised. I never expected you to use it to pierce the sea monster's digestive tract. The screen announced the comments from the constellations. A few constellations are laughing in satisfaction for guessing correctly. A few constellations have finally understood your plan. Some constellations are feeling dissatisfied because you didn't inform them beforehand. As soon as it saw Dokya sit up, the dokebi flew over to support him. It said, I also didn't know about the mucus of the hammer seahorse. It can neutralize the effects of the ichthyosaur's digestive fluids. The system showed, item hammer seahorse, mucus stock, 124, price 100 coins. Hearing the dokebi, Dokya immediately explained, before attacking with the sea urchin spines, I coated all the spines, my body, and my clothes with hammer seahorse mucus. He also recounted how he survived inside the ichthyosaur's stomach. The sea urchin spines pierced the digestive fluid ducts, causing the ichthyosaur to continuously secrete fluid. While Dokya was absorbing the ichthyosaur's fluid, the system announced, you have leveled up your stamina by absorbing the ichthyosaur's power. He turned his head and said, the rest was a mental battle. The hammer seahorses were hunted so much by the ichthyosaur that they evolved this way, which is why I used it to end things. Even so, the pain was still indescribable. The dokebi reminded Dokya, hey, the explanation part is mine, but before it could finish, he interrupted. You didn't know, and when someone explains it for you, you still try to butt in. The system announced Dokya's skill, activating special skill. The fourth wall is helping you reduce pain. The dokebi angrily scolded him. This guy. It hovered in the air and asked the constellations. Anyway, let's congratulate this creature for surviving right constellations. But no one answered. Dokya staggered to his feet and said, all right, open the dokebi bag now. He picked up the stone sea urchin spine and poked the wall in front of him. Soon the wall shattered, revealing a gleaming orb. It turned out that the orb was the ichthyosaur core. The system immediately displayed the information item you have found, ichthyosaur core. Dokya skillfully took out the orb, then gave it to the dokebi, requesting it to be put up for auction. I want to sell this. Put it on the dokebi auction house. The dokebi was speechless. This guy really, how does he even know about this? Dokya even reminded it. The item for exchange must be a broken faith. The dokebi asked him, where am I supposed to dig that up from? Dokya wanted to add a few more requests. Also, I want to buy. But it cut him off. Wait, hold on a moment. Then the dokebi put on a cute expression to flatter them. Dear constellations, the next scenario will proceed after a short commercial break, leaving Dokya dumbfounded. The system displayed an agreement. Stream Contract 1 Incarnation. Kim Dokya Party A will sign an exclusive contract with the dokebi Bi-hyung Party B until all scenarios end, or until he dies. Incarnation Kim Dokya Party A is not allowed to choose a sponsor constellation until all scenarios end, or when he dies. 3. Incarnation Kim Dokya Party A is only allowed to operate on the channel of dokebi Bi-hyung Party B. 4. Incarnation Kim Dokya Party A and dokebi Bi-hyung Party B will share the profits gained from the stream contract. The distribution ratio will be agreed upon after discussion. The Dokaebi spoke up. I've also thought about this a lot. It crossed its arms and told Dokja, but after this scenario, I've decided to sign a contract with you. He stared intently at the contract and asked, I'm party A. It replied immediately. Humans like it that way, don't they? Stop asking about trivial things. The Dokaebi urged Dokja hurry up and sign. He didn't answer but looked at it and thought, I can't believe it's actually making a contract. I have some opinions about this contract. Dokja then reminded the Dokaebi, there's one important clause that hasn't been included. It calmly replied, Nani. The rest can just be a verbal agreement. A stream contract is a soul contract, you know. He stared wide-eyed at the Dokaebi and said, the ratio. It can't be this vague. It nodded tremblingly. Right. The Dokaebi proposed to Dokja a 5-5 ratio. Okay, in return, I won't make you pay the channel maintenance fee. For example, if we get 100 coins from sponsorship, I get 50, you get 50. For example, if we get 100 coins in sponsorship, I get 50, you get 50. Faced with its persuasion, Dokja asked a question. Shouldn't it all be mine? The Dokaebi hesitantly explained, that's the basic ratio. It also added, the constellations will choose their incarnations on the Dokaebi's channel. The Dokaebi continued, all sponsorships received from other constellations will be divided according to the ratio. Fearing Dokja would go back on his word, it added another sentence. That's how it normally is. Dokja didn't hesitate to refute its words. I'm an incarnation without a sponsor constellation. Besides, when sponsoring an incarnation without a sponsor, the constellations have to pay a much higher fee, don't they? This made the Dokaebi sweat nervously. Then he asked it in a threatening tone. I'm already finding this interesting, which made the Dokaebi turn pale with fear. At this point, Dokja directly declared, the ratio is 10-0. Hearing this, the Dokaebi stared at him with wide eyes. It shouted angrily, what the hell are you talking about? In contrast to the Dokaebi, he smiled and replied, you get to eat the fees, that's enough, I won't pay a single cent. The Dokaebi tried to renegotiate. Then how about a 7-3 ratio? But no matter what it proposed, he still refused, 10-0, or should I go to another channel? Gildal's channel seems quite popular these days. Seeing that Dokja was still firm, the Dokaebi made another offer, 8-2 ratio. I can't concede anymore, his answer was still the same, 10-0 ratio. It couldn't contain its anger and gritted its teeth. You, Dokja calmly reminded the Dokaebi. Looks like the commercial break is over. The guests are starting to get impatient, frustrated that it couldn't do anything to him. It could only scratch its head in distress. And the constellations also showed their dissatisfaction with the long commercial break. A series of comments appeared. The constellations are dissatisfied with the long commercial break. Did we pay a fee to watch this crap? Some constellations are complaining, is this the third night we've been waiting for? Cunning schemer. Then the Dokaebi reluctantly agreed to his request. Fine, if we do that, you'll sign, right? Dokja demanded more. There's one more issue, it asked impatiently. What now? Dokja, just waiting for this moment, held out his hand and said, the contract fee must be separate, 5,000 coins. After some time, the corpse of the ichthyosaur had turned purple. At this moment, Dokja was trying to swim to shore. Just a moment later, he had reached it. Dokja sat here to rest, thinking to himself, it's been 4 days, and I can finally breathe. Dokja also revealed his original intention. Actually, I planned to finish the sub-scenario in just 2 days, but it ended up taking 4 days to kill that ichthyosaur. Although this pace isn't exactly slow, Dokja continued. The stream contract with the Dokaebi is also done. His face earlier was hilarious. He recalled the moment he negotiated with the Dokaebi. Hurry, give me the 5,000 coins. Dokja continued. Although the amount of coins isn't much right now, things are still going relatively smoothly. He stood up to leave, mocking himself inwardly. It's funny, normally I couldn't even sign a mediocre contract. Yet now I've become extraordinary. Just because I'm the reader of a novel, I have to deal with this coat first. Just then the system notified, Dokja. Special skill, fourth wall, is being activated. He looked at the screen and wondered curiously. What's wrong with the fourth wall? The Dokaebi asked directly. A system error. Dokja also knew about this and asked the Dokaebi. That's right, please fix it for me. It retorted. How could there be a system error? Dokja's system then displayed. The Dokaebi Bihyung is trying to interfere with your system. Dokja's skill automatically activated to protect him. The fourth wall skill has been activated. A dark thought crossed his mind. Could it be that it can even block interference from a Dokaebi? Even so, it's a good thing that no one can see my status window. As he finished speaking, Dokja stepped through a barrier. The system announced, you have entered main scenario number 2. The system reminded him, main scenario number 2's area is severely polluted. Hold your breath and move quickly underground. Dokja was blocked by the fog. He walked with difficulty thinking, is this it? This fog quickly corroded Dokja's skin. The system announced again, poisonous fog has leaked. The black flame. Dragon is laughing. Dokja had prepared himself mentally. It's officially starting. Dawn broke behind the abandoned buildings while the surroundings were shrouded in a hazy fog. A monster covered entirely in rock was using its horn as a weapon to charge forward. The mantis also hissed back at it fiercely. A fierce struggle broke out between them, sending dirt and rocks flying everywhere. Inside the convenience store, all the lights had been turned off, making it very gloomy. The young man's arm continuously swept chocolate bars into a bag. His mouth was still holding something, but his hands were still nimbly putting items into the bag. Dokja picked up 4 full bags and stood up to leave. Scenario Area 2 is severely polluted. Hold your breath and move quickly underground. This much should be enough. He silently urged himself. The item is about to expire. I have to hurry. I took too much time getting dressed. The item he was holding in his mouth was the monkey's lung hold in mouth when using capable of cleansing poison duration 20 minutes. Just then a faint voice called out, "Help." It came from the cashier counter, making him turn his head to look. Is someone there? Dokja's eyes widened in surprise when he realized someone else was there. When he got closer, he discovered a trembling woman lying on the ground. There's still someone alive here. The girl was covered in dirt and severely affected by the poisonous gas. Help me. Dokja's steps grew faster as he crossed the road. He carried the girl on his shoulder and ran as fast as he could to find a way. The surroundings were filled with corpses and poisonous fog. Oksu Station is already destroyed, so the nearest subway station is. Very quickly, Dokja reached the place and braked sharply, Gumho Station. However, the station gate was sealed shut by an iron fence, making him curse. Damn it, the gate is closed. He immediately turned to another direction to find a different option. The opposite direction is. The girl on his back suddenly whispered very softly. The door. The direction she pointed to was a place that was still open. Exit 4. From inside the station, some people were working together to close the steel shutter. Come on. 1, 2. The steel bar was very close to the line on the ground and continued to lower. Suddenly a rod stuck out and blocked it. The person inside exclaimed in panic, "What's going on, damn it?" Dokja from the outside ordered them, leaving them stunned. Open the door. The others hastily refused. No way, you can't come in here, get lost. Open the door. He took the item out of his mouth to speak. Someone is injured, but they were still adamant. The number of people here is already too many. We don't need any more people. This made him even more confused. What are you guys talking about? Dokja put the item back in his mouth and wondered. How strange, the number of people is already too many. Not accepting more. Was there a situation like this in the novel? Then he grabbed the rod he used to block the door. One swift pull lifted the shutter, making those people scream. For some unknown reason, they urged each other to turn and run inside. Quick run. As soon as he entered the station, the system informed him, "You have entered a safe zone." Dokja placed the bags of food down by the door. As for him, he handed his item to the gasping girl. Hold this in your mouth. Although it can't heal you completely, you'll feel better. Looking at that face, contorted in discomfort, Dokja grew more curious. He stared at her and pondered. Ways of Survival had this supporting character too. In principle, the death rate in this area should be very high. He was still thinking intently about this girl. Maybe I should read it again. This character. Suddenly a scolding voice rang out. Over there, it's this guy, boss. The flashlight beam shone on the two of them, making Dokja look over in surprise. A pair of leather-shod feet strode forward aggressively. The boss tilted his chin. What's this? What are you guys? Dokja looked at him with exasperation. As the constellations began to react, I have to introduce myself again. The prisoner of the Golden Headband constellation is frowning at the appearance of the uninvited guest, but he replied politely, Kim Dokja. He suddenly asked again. Your name is Kim Dokja, he affirmed with certainty. That's right. The thug opened his mouth wide and said loudly, That's not what I meant. What the hell are you doing here? His underling suddenly exclaimed. That girl. The girl had started to come around by now, but was still very weak. She's the daughter of the minor group. She's the one who came back with Nohyuk, right? That. The thug looked at his underling with a frown, but then he switched to a cunning smile. So that's how it is. You're a cute little brat, aren't you? Daring to do this without my permission. Dokja's thoughts appeared. Post-apocalyptic genres often feature dangerous gangs like this. That group of people started whispering amongst themselves. Sorry, boss, Cheolsu, I should have told you earlier. As for him, he was bewildered. Cheolsu, there's this character too. So many things are appearing that are different from the details I remember in the novel. Dokja was still lost in his own thoughts. Even though I've imagined the apocalypse with the rise of criminals many times, but experiencing it in reality, the trope feels old as dirt. Sooner or later, the thug's eyes landed on his bag of items. What's that, boss? It looks like food. Cheolsu glared threateningly at him. Leave the food and get lost. Do that and I'll spare your life. Dokja wasn't afraid of him, but was only concerned with the unfolding plot. A cliched character, the storyline isn't progressing very well. The messages started flooding in. The prisoner of the Golden Headband constellation is angry at the appearance of this riffraff. The abyssal black flame dragon constellation is enraged by the injustice before it. He also picked up the iron bar from the ground. A bonus scenario has been activated at the request of the constellations. It's not that I wanted this. Cheolsu still looked down on him. It seems you don't want to leave. He stood up and silently prayed for them. You pitiful people, but you brought this upon yourselves. The abyssal black flame dragon constellation is greatly looking forward to how you'll handle this. The boss slammed his brass-knuckled fists together, creating sparks. This brat looks pretty dangerous. A new quest appeared as Cheolsu was arrogantly speaking to him. But if you don't run now, death is your only path. Bonus scenario. Remove the obstacles. Type sub-difficulty. E scenario. Clear condition. The appearance of the obstacles has greatly angered the constellations. Neutralize them within the time limit. Time limit, 5 minutes. Reward, if you fail. Then the battle broke out. The girl was still struggling for breath, leaning against the wall. The loudmouth Cheolsu took a full punch to the face, causing his cheek to twist to one side. He was sent flying straight into the wall to the panic of his underlings. Boss Cheolsu, The remaining ones only dared to stand around Doksha and shout, "What is this bastard? Why is he unharmed after all those hits? Does he have a sponsor constellation?" As for him, he wasn't too surprised. My current levels in stamina, strength, and agility create a huge difference in combat power with these small fries. He thought to himself, my current stamina level is 33, but these guys have single-digit stats. The other guys lay flat, their faces bruised all over. Damn it, I can't move. The low-life bastard aimed for the legs, boss. Dokja held the iron rod and walked in front of Cheolsu. Even if he receives protection from the constellations, he now looks completely miserable facing him. It's impossible to make up for such a huge gap. Character information name, Bang Cheolsu, age 34. Sponsor constellation delusion, demon, special attribute, general private group, leader special skills, thrash, LV2, lie LV2, threaten LV1. Overall, stats, stamina, low V6, strength, low V7, agility, low V6, magic power, low V2, summary. A common soldier who was lucky to receive the protection of a constellation often boasts about his fighting abilities. Dokja suddenly saw a rather strange line of information on the system panel. Sponsor constellation delusion demon. Why would this guy choose this kind of sponsor constellation, I wonder? Then he spoke up and asked him. You're Bang Cheolsu from the Childu group, right? Cheolsu was dumbfounded. What, you know me? He, on the other hand, had recognized him. Of course, you're the most worthless element at Gyumho Station. He was supposed to be killed by Yu Junghyuk. A thought ran through his head. How is he still alive? Cheolsu suddenly spoke up, mentioning something. Or are you also the type that crawled out from that place? It seems you've killed a lot of people, haven't you? The more he talked, the more lifeless Dokja's eyes became fixing on him. No wonder I can smell the scent of my own kind on you. Fragments of memory once again ran through his head. Who knows? He had thought the people I could have saved. Namwoon suddenly appeared with a crazed smile on his face. Be honest. You just wanted to watch this scene, didn't you? The system quickly appeared. The fourth wall has blocked the lie of the character, Bang Cheolsu. As for him, he used the sharp tip to pin Cheolsu's wrist. He screamed in pain, forcing Doksha to remind him, this isn't the time for you to show off. Those watching him were very excited. The Delusion Demon Constellation is feeling happy. The Delusion Demon Constellation has sponsored you 100 coins. Doksha stepped on his body and thought, the Delusion Demon Constellation has always been famous for being generous to incarnations. The Delusion Demon Constellation has always been famous for being generous with its incarnation. I was going to let you go quickly to lessen the pain, but it seems that's not possible. Shall we talk for a bit? The sub-scenario is about to end. You have 2 minutes left. The other guys were clutching their stomachs and turning away. He's just an idiot for the constellations to play with. Even his sponsor constellation is extremely amused when another incarnation tortures its incarnation. The Delusion Demon Constellation is feeling happy. One of them gathered all his courage and pleaded, stop, please let the boss go. The girl had been struggling with her injuries all this time, making him reflect, humans are so weak. The chaotic scenes he had witnessed made him question, how did these weak people become so cruel? The conversation between Cheolsu and his underling replayed. So that's how it is. You're a cute little brat, aren't you, daring to do this without my permission? He came to a conclusion. They're just using the world's destruction as an excuse. Dokja grabbed Cheolsu's collar and glared at him, asking, why is it like this? His dazed eyes glanced at him wearily. Is it instinct? He couldn't take it anymore and whimpered, begging, you son of a bitch, kill me, you bastard. This world is a piece of shit. But he was still thinking hard, isn't it? Isn't this his true nature? That thug turned his face away, red blood trickling from his nose. This look, a look of despair, even before this world was destroyed. This world is a piece of shit. Dokja then related it to himself, cowering in a corner of a room, just like me. Then he stood up and gradually realized something. We are the same kind. He lifted one of his feet. Perhaps he wasn't wrong. You have 10 seconds before the sub-scenario ends. Then Dokja finished it in one blow. In any case, this world has already been destroyed. The system continuously reported to him, you have met the conditions to complete the sub-scenario. You have earned 300 coins, the Delusion Demon Constellation is very satisfied. You have been sponsored an additional 100 coins. Cheolsu's underlings crawled over, boss. How could he be so cruel? Meanwhile, Dokja had made up his mind. I must survive in this new world. He turned back to carry the weak girl on his shoulder. Before leaving, he frankly asked the remaining guys, show me the way to the places where there are groups. The map of the gangs in this area is listed in great detail. Between two large dots, the name of an important base was printed in bold on the red line Gyumho. The buildings in that area were also desolate and covered in poisonous gas. The people taking shelter there looked towards the entrance in surprise. Just then, the other gang arrived with Dokja, making the atmosphere more chaotic. It's the Childu group. Someone's injured. Please help me. As he was putting the girl down, someone recognized him and called out Dokja-si. Among the crowd was the figure of a familiar girl. Sangha was so moved that she exclaimed, oh my god, Dokja-shi. Gil-young quickly rushed towards him. The old team members also came forward with looks of joy. Dokja-si, you're still safe. What a relief. What a great relief. Is the kid okay? Dokja-si. Hyunsung placed a hand on his shoulder and apologized to him first. I'm truly sorry. Back then we left you behind. It's okay. He cheerfully forgave them. I can't blame any of you. Dokja gave Gil-young some candy as they were sighing in relief. Thank goodness. What Yu Junghyuk said was right. He looked up in surprise. Yu Junghyuk, She then explained more clearly. Yu Jung-hyuk Shi said that Dokja Shi was still alive. A short conversation took place. Where's this person named Yu Jung-hyuk now? Sanga replied awkwardly. He's not here anymore. Jung-hyuk's lonely back had long since disappeared into the indifferent night. He left this station yesterday. Dokja now understood more. So that's how it is. I understand now. The reason the Choldu guy is still alive and wasn't killed by Yu Jung-hyuk is because Yu Jung-hyuk was in a hurry to leave Gyumho Station. The thugs from earlier were still struggling with each other. The survivors. Boss, are you okay? Meanwhile, he had already foreseen their fate. In regression, 3 they became monsters fighting over food. Dokja muttered to himself. As for Yu Jung-hyuk, to achieve his goal, he left without looking back, but it seems he handled the basic problem before leaving. What? Anyway, he was in a hurry. I'm just talking to myself. It's a habit. A constellation immediately reacted. The secretive plotter constellation likes your soliloquies. Then he asked a question. It seems like someone is still missing here. Sanga hesitantly answered him. The department head. Just then, the person he had just asked about shouted loudly, "Everyone move aside." Countless hurried footsteps rushed over their hands, all held crude weapons like water pipes and wooden sticks. Dokja's group was surrounded and isolated into an area by them. He glanced over at the new thugs. His gaze caught Myung-oh trembling. You, how did you? A memory from a few days ago when he was panicking and carrying Sanga away replayed. Then for some unknown reason, he kept insisting, we have to chase him out. That evil, inhuman person. We can't let him stay here. When things were getting very awkward, a slender hand was placed on Myung-oh's shoulder. Sir, we should be polite. We are all survivors together. Why do we need to do this? That young man gave a friendly smile. Nice to meet you. You're a newcomer, right? May I ask your name? He smiled and introduced himself. I am Cheon Inho. Cheon Inho. He still had the bags of food hanging from his hand and shook hands with him. I've heard this name somewhere before. I am Kim Dokja. This guy has a sponsor constellation. He must be the leader here. He carefully gripped the iron rod. It seems the Cheoldu group is also under his command. They probably won't leave me alone. Just then, Cheon Inho continued. I've heard everything from everyone. The words he spoke were not what he had expected. You fought monsters and saved members of my group. What? That guy raised his hand and announced to everyone around. Everyone look, our brave new member has brought food. They looked at him with craving eyes. It's food. Those consumed by hunger shouted sounds of joy amidst his smugness. It's food. Cheon Inho gave another friendly welcome. Welcome to Gyumho Station, Dokja. Dokja secretly clenched his fist to restrain himself. This bastard. So this is the reason he came here. The secretive plotter constellation is feeling very excited. The nearby convenience store vending machine was also empty. Currently there are a total of 86 people at Gyumho Station. If we include Dokja Si, that's 87 people. He sighed. So few people are still alive. Hyunsong then explained clearly. When the scenario occurred, only those in the vicinity of the station and those on the subway survived. His face turned sad, and he didn't dare to finish his sentence. Perhaps from the very first scenario some people stepped on the lives of others to survive. Dokja understood the meaning himself. Everyone here is a murderer. Hyunsong continued to tell him, currently Gyumho Station is divided into 2 factions, the major faction and the minor faction. First is the major faction. Myung-oh tried his best to reassure the members. Everyone please trust me. Our chairman is working very hard so that all of us can survive in this place. They also believed him, as expected of the youngest son of the Han-kook group. On the other hand, in the minor faction, those people were all in a state of starvation. Mom, I'm so hungry. Just a little longer, sweetie. The rescue team will be here soon. The empty words rang out again. Everything will be fine. The government will definitely not abandon us. Nearly 100 murderers gathered together are also divided into the weak and the strong. Everyone thinks this is natural, the law of life. And in the present, Cheon Inho praised Myung-oh as if it were true. You're absolutely right. Everyone, let's not lose hope. He continued to say similar things. We all of us can survive. The food from before had been finished and thrown into the trash. The distribution of food is being decided by the major faction. Food is becoming more and more scarce, which is why they are trying to send some members to the surface to find food. They recounted to him Hoi Won-si, who went with us, was one of those chosen. Dokja didn't understand what they meant. Hoi Won-si. Sanga sat down next to the girl and answered for her. That's the name of the girl that Dokja Si saved and brought here. Hui Won's eyes were still tightly shut in discomfort. Actually, besides Hui Won-si, a few other people also had to go to the surface, but only those from the minor faction couldn't return. Dokja suddenly asked Hyunsong a question. Why is Lee Hyunsong-shi still in this faction? You must have received an invitation too. Everyone sways with the wind. He hesitated at first. That is, the young man was silent for a moment before he could continue. It's just that I thought I had to do it. His emotions were also very chaotic, but it was enough for him to realize one thing. I don't know about all this morality or ethics, but I always felt that I shouldn't be on that side. Perhaps until now, I've just been a hypocrite. Dokja walked over and lightly touched his chest. Then he encouraged him with a very meaningful sentence. Hypocritical morality is still morality. Never forget that he was moved, and his eyes welled up with tears. Dokja Si. But someone interrupted them. Kim, Dokja. They both stopped their conversation and looked towards Cheon Inho. There are things that one is forced to do. but that doesn't mean it never happened. He had proposed to him. Can we talk for a moment? Right at the moment, Dokja was telling himself, a cruel phenomenon, but it must not be forgotten. Sangha Gilyong and Huiwon were seated next to each other holding 2 bags of food. Meanwhile, Cheon Inho was negotiating. I'll be frank. He uttered a sentence. Join our faction. Dokja wasn't too surprised, I knew it. Cheon Inho began to persuade him sweetly. With your abilities, I will give you a worthy position. Let's lead this group together. But he asked coldly, what if I refuse? The smile on his lips faltered. Although his tone was the same, a kind of hatred slowly formed in his eyes. Refuse? You're really interesting. I never thought that would happen. This novel had only 1 reader. But the author persistently updated new chapters for many years.